Coverage of the Pepsi 400. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Daytona. Now, it's been a while since we televised a Winston Cup race here on ESPN, and since then, the point standings have really changed. Mark Martin is now on top of the standings with Morgan Shepherd in second position. Jeff Bodine is third. Defending Winston Cup champion Rusty Wallace is in fourth place, and Dale Earnhardt has slipped to fifth. But notice there is only 118 points separating the top five in Winston Cup points. Now, this 10 o'clock start here at Daytona is certainly a departure from normal. The crews have to get up real early in the morning. They have to get out here to beat all the traffic that's coming in, and they have to be ready to go because of all the strategy that's going to be played out here this morning in the Pepsi 400. We also have to get up very early, but one of our announcers in the pit area lives just across the street from Daytona International Speedway, so for him it's just a short roll out of bed. Right, Jerry Punch?
Bob, if you only knew. This race does start in the morning to try to escape the sultry afternoon heat of Daytona. You figure if you're racing at 10 o'clock, you could be on the beach by 2 enjoying this beautiful beach at Daytona. Well, yesterday afternoon in the final practice session, there were 8 drivers who wished they were on the beach rather than here at the racetrack because a major crash out of turn 4. Labonte's car spins. He is tagged. 6 other cars involved. The most heavily damaged, Dave Marcus, slamming the left side of Darrell Waltrip's car. Waltrip taken to a nearby hospital, operated on from 10 p.m. until 3 a.m. this morning. He will not start today's race. Jimmy Horton, the ARCA regular, will start his Tide Chevrolet. 6 drivers have gone to backup cars. They will start here in the back of the field. Now we'll roll the cars off the grid momentarily. It will be a long way to the front. And remember, track position so very, very important here on the super speedways, and even more important now with the plates on the cars. It could make pit strategy very, very important. How about it, John Kernan?
Well, Jerry, the guys here in the pits are well aware how important their jobs are, especially with that restrictor plate, because every second they save on a pit stop means their driver can pick up valuable positions out there on the racetrack. Now, this Goodyear Racing radial tire could play into the strategy. We found it to be very, very durable. The teams can run a lot of laps on it. Now, it takes about 16 to 18 seconds to dump in a full load of fuel. They can change 2 tires in about 13 seconds, 22 seconds to change 4 tires. So I bet what we will see in here is a lot of 2-tire pit stops for these teams. Now, also, we can see pit partners. If they're out there running in the draft, Bob, you can bet they will come in and pit together.
All right, thank you very much, John. Now let's go back up pit road for just a few feet and get the official command that will get things started on this Saturday morning here at Daytona International Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
There are the drivers set to go in the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona. There is Jimmy Horton, who will be starting the car, normally driven by Darrell Waltrip. There will be a total of 6 drivers that will drop back to the back of the field before we get the green flag. Now here's Ned Jarrett.
Bob, with the dominance that Dale Earnhardt displayed here in the Daytona 500, he has to be the favorite, along with Greg Stacks, who hooked up with Earnhardt at Talladega, and they were able to pull away from the field. They did everything together. They pitted together, drafted together, and that did allow them to pull away from the field. And then you had Kenny Schrader in there, who was very strong also here in the Daytona 500, as well as at Talladega, until the engine blew in his Chevrolet in both events. Now, maybe this being a 400-mile race, he might be able to go there until the end. But look for those 3 Chevrolets to be very strong. But Benny Parsons, there's another guy that's running awfully strong here today, and he's a sentimental favorite.
Ned, I'm a little bit worried.
Why?
Well, I was here in February when Richard Petty passed Darrell Waltrip. Folks, the crowd lit up. And then he passed Ken Schrader to lead the qualifying race. They almost tore the grandstands down. I was down in the infield in February. Now I'm up on top of the grandstands. Might be a little nerve-wracking when all these fans start clapping if Richard Petty should take the lead.
Well, I'll tell you, it won't surprise me if he does take the lead. He might have his best shot at winning here today that he's had in a long, long time.
All right, thank you, guys. And another veteran to watch here this morning will be A.J. Foyt. He had a very good qualifying performance and will start 19th in this morning's Pepsi 400 live from Daytona International Speedway. NASCAR racing from Daytona International Speedway as we get set for 160 laps of competition here this morning in the Pepsi 400. Field making its way down the backstretch now on some warm-up laps before we get the green flag. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's event here at Daytona. On the pole position, his first pole ever in Winston Cup competition in the Ultra Slim Fast Chevrolet, qualifying at 195.533 is Greg Sachs, number 18 from Mattituck, New York. Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, on the number 6 Folgers Coffee Ford. He's one of those who will fall to the rear of the pack. In the second row, it's Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina. He's never won here at Daytona. He drives a GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, car number 3. Alongside the 1988 winner of the Pepsi 400 in the Coors Ford, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, car number 9. Starting then in the 5th position will be Jimmy Horton in substitution for Darrell Waltrip. Ken Schrader will start outside of row number 3. In the 4th row, there he is, King Richard Petty, car number 43, and alongside Terry Labonte, also one of those that will drop back. Going to row number 5 now, it's Ricky Rudd in car number 5 and Kyle Petty in 42. The 6th row, Rob Moroso and Alan Kulwicki. Row number 7, Sterling Marlin and Ernie Irvin. The 8th row, Jeff Bodine and Harry Gant. Starting in row number 9 is Davey Allison, the defending champion, along with Terry Cope, the defending Daytona 500 champion. In row 10, it's A.J. Foyt and Brett Bodine. And as you look at the remainder of the starting lineup, we had a total of 43 cars that showed up here this weekend. 3 of them didn't make it. We did have an accident during a qualification attempt by Tracy Leslie. His car banged a first turn wall and caught fire, but Tracy was not injured in that accident. There the field is moving through the first and second corners now. And next time around, we should be getting a start for 160 laps of competition here at Daytona. And there's $53,200 available in the Unical bonus if the pole sitter Greg Sachs can win here this afternoon. That's how much he will pick up in bonus. Now, there are the 6 cars that will be dropping to the back of the pack before the green flag comes out. Mark Martin, Jimmy Horton, Terry Labonte, Ernie Irvin, Phil Barkdahl, and Dave Marcus.
And it's going to be tough for those drivers to get back up through the field, Bob. Mark Martin said he was going to treat it just like if he'd had a flat tire and had to go to the rear.
It is going to be very difficult to move through because of the restrictor plates. There's the in-car camera that will be carried by Dick Trickle this afternoon as he positions himself alongside of Rusty Wallace there to the left. Our Publix Racing in-car camera being carried by Buddy Baker this afternoon, this morning I should say, in car number 90. And our 3rd in-car camera being carried by Chad Little in the Bullseye Barbecue Sauce car. And here comes the field now. Heading off of corner number 4, the pace car is staying out, so we will have one more warm-up lap before we get the green flag.
Is that the thermometer in Chad Little's car? Looks like it's registering 90 degrees right now. That'll heat up in a little bit, though.
It isn't quite as hot here as it has been the past few days. We do have a little bit of an overcast that's moved over the speedway in the last few minutes. Now let's take a look at the Daytona International Speedway specifically. Of course, it is a 2.5-mile tri-oval. The pole speed was 195.533. The time 42.02 seconds. The banking between 18 and 31 degrees. It's 18 degrees here in the tri-oval. We'll go 160 laps, and the field is separated by 11.6 miles an hour. Now the light on the pace car is out, so that indicates to the drivers to get set for green flag conditions.
Of course, when Mark Martin had to go to the rear, that moves Bill Elliott up on the outside pole.
Greg Sachs leads them down the backstretch. 40 cars strong, getting set for racing here this morning.
And that Ned brought up a good point, Bob. In NASCAR racing, if a driver has to go to the rear of the field, the row that he's in just simply moves up. They don't jockey the positions around just that row.
Let's take a look at the average finishing positions. The last 5 races, Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin have had the best average finishes during that period of time. 3rd, Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvin, 6th and 7th average finishing position in the last 5 races. Field beginning to pick up speed now as they move through the 3rd and 4th corners. The pace car should be ducking off, leaving the field in the hands of pole sitter Greg Sachs with a speed of 195.5 miles an hour. And there goes the pace car. Here we go. Let's see if indeed we do get the green flag and the beginning of our racing here this morning. Yes, indeed, the green is out and the race is on. Now they're running a smaller restrictor plate, so it's going to take these cars some time to get up to speed. And you can see that the pole sitter, Greg Sachs, has dropped back just a little bit, allowing the field to be led by, as they go into turn number 1, Dale Earnhardt in a Chevy and Bill Elliott in a Ford.
Well, Earnhardt has some kind of a transmission in that car that he can get good starts. We've seen him so many times when he leads races off to a good start. Look at Richard Petty coming up on the inside.
Come on, King. What are you doing down there?
He's showing muscle early in the race. On the first lap, he goes 3 wide into turn number 3 with Greg Sachs in the middle and Derek Cope on the outside. And here we go into the 4th corner now.
Boy, somebody's got to give there.
3 abreast racing. Look at this. Coming out of corner number 4, they touch. All 3 cars are touching as they come down through the tri-oval, but everybody maintains position.
Wow.
Oh, no. Sachs is in trouble.
And takes Petty with him.
And we're going to have a terrific crash here as nearly all the field is going to be involved in this crash. There are only about 10 or 12 cars that survive this melee just past the starting line.
When you have cars that near to the front get in trouble on the front straightaway, they take up the racetrack, and practically everybody got involved.
I think there are 12 cars that made it through. At least several cars are now pulling away from the scene of the crash, but there were just numerous cars involved in the action. You can see the smoke and the debris on the racetrack down just past the starting line toward turn number 1. Let's take a look at it once again.
Well, as they come off of turn 4, they are 3 abreast. Greg Sachs in the middle. He touches the outside car, then down on Petty, and they come into the tri-oval here, and they get together once again, and around they go, and then everybody starts getting involved. See, the track is just closed up. There's nowhere for people to go.
Looks like that Derek Cope and Greg Sachs made contact just prior to Greg losing control.
Very reminiscent of a crash in the 125 event here a year ago at Daytona.
And it looks like we're going to red flag the race. Here they come again.
And the red flag has been displayed on the racetrack. The cars are being told to stop near the exit of pit road.
And as they go by, Darrell Waltrip's car, driven by Jimmy Horton, has some damage to the right side, so he did not get through the accident unscathed.
Mark Martin's car is also damaged. He, of course, was one of those who started in the back as a result of yesterday's crash. And there is Darrell Waltrip's car being driven by Jimmy Horton. As you can see, the damage on the right side of it. Several cars able to make it around now to the pit area. But on the other hand, there are numerous cars down toward turn number 1 that may not be able to restart this Pepsi 400. We are under red flag conditions here on the first lap because of an accident that took out, well, probably around 15 to 20 cars involved in the accident just past the starting line. So the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona International Speedway off to a very bad start here. We'll be back with more right after this.
Number 1, and an accident involving about 20 cars, about half the field involved in an accident just as they were completing lap number 1. It began up toward the front of the pack when Richard Petty and Greg Sachs and Derek Cope came through here 3 wide at the start-finish line, and then Sachs loses it. He loses it, goes down, hits Richard Petty. Richard loses control, and especially the racetrack gets blocked, and these fellows have nowhere to go. Buddy Baker sliding into a couple of cars here, Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine. Looks like Morgan Shepherd with some damage. Here's a shot from the in-car. And now from Buddy Baker's car. Punch is standing with a group of drivers. The drivers are walking away. Thankfully, the cars are being pulled by as mangled masses here. Rick Wilson stands beside us here. Rick, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, but the food line dinner bells and Bill tore up pretty bad. You know, it just got blocked. You know, some cars up front got the beating and bang, or somebody hit somebody and got them sideways. And the time I got there and tried to get loaded up, it was completely blocked, and then people from behind running into you. So it was a big mess, but I think everybody's okay, so that's a wonder right there.
Hutch Strickland, your car took a heck of a lick. It was almost cut in half down there.
Well, you know, it's one of the deals here. The racetrack got blocked in front of you. You know, there's just no place to go. You know, we feel like we had a good shot in the Roy Best's Buick, and just, you know, it turned out it wasn't our day.
Daytona 500 winner Derek Copier had great hopes for another repeat here today, but it's over.
Well, it is over. You know, unfortunately, we had the Fielder Chevrolet running exceptionally well on the draft, and I was hanging right there behind Harry, and going down the back straightaway, we had a couple people hung out to dry, and, you know, somebody got into me, Sacks, I don't know if he got pushed up into me or what, going in turn 3, and then I said, hey, you know, calm down, you guys. I moved up on the racetrack, coming off 4, I got hit again, and then we got squared away. I thought everything was going to be all right, and all of a sudden, I saw somebody get turned sideways. I thought it was the king, and next thing I know, they put me in the fence, and I just tried to keep the Fielder Chevrolet against the wall, not to hurt nobody else, and I saw everybody else get in trouble.
Well, Derek Cope's side of it. Ernie Irvin has walked by, as has Morgan Shepherd. Let's check and see how the pole sitter's car at Greg Sacks is doing up where John Kernan is. John? I'm with Gary Dehart Crucief on Greg Sacks' car, and it's looking pretty bad right now from what Greg said on the radio.
Yeah, he said they had to put it on a hook and bring it in. It's probably tore up pretty bad. What we saw right here, I could only see sheet metal damage, but he said the car is pretty messed up.
We'll bring it in, though, and try and get it back out.
We're going to bring it in and look at it and see what it looks like. Yeah, if we can get back out, we'll get back out for our sponsors. Greg's okay. He's walking back up the drag, so he's okay.
I know you had a lot of high hopes today. A very disappointing way to finish it, especially this early in the race.
Yeah, we've had some good luck this week. We ran good, and they say that's the way it goes. When your luck piles up on you, it gets you once in a while. So we'll be back. Maybe we'll get to go to Pocono and run good up there.
Thank you, Gary. I know a lot of people expected Greg Sacks to run away with the race, but unfortunately for the Ultra Slim Fast team, Bob, they're going to have to spend some time behind the wall and will not be a factor. Well, a lot of drivers and fans are disappointed. There you can see Buddy Baker and Ernie Irvin and Jeff Bodine, and there is the king. And we talked about how this probably was his best chance of winning in a long, long time. But you can see that the car is badly damaged, and King Richard Petty is riding back to his pit area. Now let's take a look at the top 20 as they cross the line after 2 laps, and the red flag came out. Dale Earnhardt, the leader, followed by Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, Kyle Petty, and Alan Kulwicki. Running in 6th is Harry Gant, then Sterling Marlin, Davey Allison, Bobby Gillen, and Dale Jarrett. In 11 through 15, Jimmy Means, Ricky Rudd, Jimmy Horton, Jimmy Spencer, and Butch Miller. And in 16 through 20, Mark Martin, Phil Duffy, Terry Labonte, Phil Bartol, and Dave Martin. Because of a major crash down between the starting line and turn number 1. There is Michael Waltrip, and let's go to John Kernan. And normally they would be working on the car, but because it's red flag, they can't work on it, so you just got to sit here and think about what happened. It looks like a wild ride for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, that trial was treacherous when you put that many cars that close together, and one of them messed up front, and we were a victim of circumstances. But, you know, our car hasn't hurt it that bad. It didn't hit anything in the front with my Country Time Micro House Pontiac. Just kind of sliding through the grass, and when I got going in the right direction, I knew my back was messed up. So we're going to fix it. We'll be in good shape. We should be one of the best running wounded there is out there. So I'm looking forward to get back out there. I can accept this very well. My brother's in the hospital, and, you know, he's alive and well, and got a lot of recovery to go through, but I'm not hurt, so we can fix the car and keep digging. Well, you've heard of joining the walking wounded. Michael Walters wants to rejoin the running wounded. Now let's go down pit road to Jerry Punch, who's with Jeff Bodine and Greg Sacks. Well, John Bodine and Sacks are with me. We might mention that A.J. Floyd and Charlie Glotzback have both walked away from their damaged cars and seem to be okay. First, Jeffrey had high hopes today. Former Daytona 500 winner. Looks like the Budweiser Ford was really hauling early in practice and yesterday, but it's over. Well, you know, just a victim. You know, before I go any further, I want to say, I'm looking at Darrell Waltrip, too. I want to say hi to Darrell and wish him a speedy recovery. He had a bad accident yesterday and didn't start this race out too good either. It's just a situation. Everyone's racing, and with, you know, I hate to say it again, restrictor plates. We can't get away from each other. You get side by side, and you're glued to that person. It's really hard to get away, and 3 cars came down through the tri-oval, and there's enough room to get around here 3 wide, and at the speeds we're going especially, and they just got together, and the guy on the outside got crowded into the wall, and nothing he could do. It just, you know, maybe Greg was in the middle. Maybe he can give you a little more insight of what happened, but I was a victim, and it's a shame. There's 20 cars sitting out here on the racetrack right now. That means there's 20 in here being worked on. We're going to go work on our Budweiser Ford, try to get it back out there, get some more points. You know, what can you say? It's racing, but you hate to see it this way. First lap of a 400-mile race. Come on, we got to go farther than this. We'll let you go, Jeff, and get working on the car. Thanks for stopping by. It was a Greg Sachs sandwich in that first lap. Greg, what happened? On the very start of the race, you were able to, you got passed by Earnhardt.
Well, yeah, I didn't have a real good start, and Dale got underneath me, you know, and that's really where things kind of started, you know. Then coming off 2, Richard went to the inside, and, well, we were 3 wide going into turn 3. I don't know if Richard knew that Derek was on the outside or not, but we went into turn 3 wide, and we're coming all the way around the turn, and, you know, I was in the middle there, and Derek was out there. We touched a little bit. Richard come up, and coming off of turn 4 was the same way, 3 wide, and I don't know, there was plenty of room. I don't know why we couldn't keep going. If Richard got a little loose coming through the trials or whatnot, I don't really know, but before you know it, we got to turn around, and Derek was in the wall, and the whole melee started. It's just darn shame, you know, that early in the race. Walter Swinfest's team was really looking for great things today. We felt like we could bring this thing home. You know, we've had the best car in practice, and time trials, you know, kind of proved that, and we really thought we'd get the job done today. It just didn't turn out that way.
Greg Sachs, who had a great run here back in February in the Clash in the course of Talladega. Greg, you can rebuild race cars, you can't rebuild drivers, and thankfully the drivers are okay. Bob?
All right, thank you very much, Jerry. And there are several cars in this pit area, including Dick Trickle, whose Top Arctic Pontiac was involved somewhat in the crash. And we have, again, a replay from his in-car camera. This is how it looks to Dick Trickle.
Through there, and he couldn't do a whole lot either.
Now let's take a look from Chad Little's car.
Well, you can see him turning that steering wheel, trying to get it headed in the direction he wants it to go, but it's going to go where it wants to go.
And now let's go inside Buddy Baker's car.
Man, that hurts sitting here.
Buddy hit 3 or 4 cars, didn't he?
You know, and Jeff Bodine said something about the cars not being able to get away from each other. And when we look from Buddy Baker's in-car camera, we can see what he was talking about. Just the cars are 2, 3 abreast. And, folks, they are running 195 miles an hour probably at that point of the racetrack. 195. It looks like 60 or 70. But believe me, you can look at the damage on the race cars and realize that there is some speed. You're talking 190 miles per hour, and they're just side by side, bumper to bumper, and not able to get away from each other.
Unbelievable. Those of you who have seen the movie Days of Thunder know that Cole Trickle had to drive through a melee with his vision blurred and the smoke obscuring his vision, and that's exactly what happens in a crash like that, as you can see from our 3 in-car cameras as they try to pick their way through that multi-car tangle in the tri-oval between the start-finish line and turn number 1. Back at Daytona with more after this. The Budweiser car badly damaged. Now, don't forget, tomorrow there'll be more auto racing. The Cars Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix. That's at 2 o'clock Eastern Time live here on ESPN. And because of some incidents yesterday, they're going to change the racetrack there for tomorrow's race. So you'll want to be tuned at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow afternoon for the kart race from Cleveland, Ohio. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Richard Petty.
Well, Richard, we've already heard from some of the other guys. What's your version of what happened out there?
Well, I don't know. All I know is I was running around there in the inside groove going through the dog leg, and all of a sudden somebody hit me on the right rear and spun me back across in front of everybody, and it's, you know, up against the wall on the left side, and it just ground itself out down the straightaway. Then you know, then they went every which way. But nobody ever come on down that far. They got in the wreck before they got far enough for me, and I didn't stop the car. I wanted to get on out of the wreck. And what happened, I don't know. I just know that I got hit on the right rear and spun the wrong way on super speedway, and that's kind of bad.
They're working on the car. You're going to try and get it back out of it?
Well, I don't know. We just got it in the garage area here, and we're going to have to look at it and see how bad it is. But don't look too good right now.
Well, guys, Richard Petty was expected to have a good run today, and unfortunate circumstances have taken him out of the race.
But there's that smile that we talked about. King Richard still managing a smile, even though he was involved in this incident.
And he said it exactly right. I don't think Richard Petty did anything wrong. Let's look at it. As he comes out through, he's on the inside in the blue and red car. Greg Sachs in the middle. Now, he does get into Greg Sachs there, knocks Sachs up the end to Derek Coates. But see, they get straightened out. Sterling Marlin almost had a notion to make it 4 abreast. But then, see, he's way down on the inside. Coates comes down a little bit on Greg Sachs, and they get together, and that's where it all starts. And then, see, Greg Sachs goes down in and does exactly what Richard Petty said. Somebody hooked me in the right rear quarter panel and spinning center.
And Sterling Marlin is the guy was fortunate because he got touched in the right rear, but was able to save the car and go straight ahead.
Right. Some flame coming from a car there. I believe that was the number 75 car, Rick Wilson. A little bit of flame coming from it. Brett Bodine's car is damaged, and Jerry Punch is right there.
Well, a number of cars have been damaged. We said in this accident there are at least a half a dozen or so cars on pit road. Dick Trickle, Mickey Gibbs is here, Rusty Wallace, and you're looking at Brett Bodine's car, the Clicker State Buick that's owned by Kenny Bernstein. The crew cannot work on the car during the red flag, and Brett is still sitting inside the car as they are waiting to get the okay from NASCAR to begin work. And Brett, first of all, the car heavily damaged. How bad is it?
Well, right now, Jerry, it looks like we're going to have to cut both front fenders and the entire air dam off the Clicker State Buick to get it so it'll at least run. And, you know, we're just going out there because we see 20 cars sitting on the racetrack. We got to get them as many Winston Cup points as we can, and that's all we can hope for today.
Now, given the carnage from some of these cars, you came out pretty lucky.
Well, I actually got in the wreck after the fact. I was nearly clear the wreck, and I think Ricky Rudd had run into me from behind and spun me, and that got me into the outside wall. Other than that, you know, we didn't really come in contact with any car. We just got spun after we cleared the wreck, and, you know, that's going to happen. It's smoke, and everybody can't see, and, you know, it's just a circumstance. I'm very thankful nobody's hurt in this wreck, and we'd like to say hi to Darrell and his family and hope that his fast recovery as soon as getting back here on the racetrack.
Thank you, Brett. There is a close family here, although some 20 drivers have been involved in a heavy crash. Their thoughts turn to one of their colleagues who sits in a hospital nearby, Darrell Walter.
You know, you're absolutely right. While most people and most drivers would be thinking about how they were involved in the incident, if they were, but almost every driver we have talked to has wished Darrell Waltrip the best as he is in the hospital just across the street from Daytona. Look at the skid marks down there. There were some there from that accident 2 years ago, the Twin 125 crash, and others that we have had in that area of the racetrack, but they have sure added to it this morning.
Well, they sure have. In fact, it almost looked like Jerry's young son had a blackboard with scribbling all over it before he woke Jerry up this morning.
I was thinking of a large bowl of black spaghetti thrown on the racetrack.
Maybe Jerry's son was trying to draw a cartoon character down there on the tri-oval. Well, we are still under a red flag condition. However, it appears as if the track is being cleared quickly. We could be back to racing here in just a few moments.
Back at Daytona, the field down the backstretch once again being led by Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott in second position, Ken Schrader third, and then comes Kyle Petty. Now, there's been some talk down in the pit area concerning the spoiler on Greg Sachs' car.
The rear spoiler. They're talking about Sachs' car had about a 25, 27 degree rear spoiler. And most of the cars are running somewhere in the 30 to 35 degree. And they felt like that was not enough rear spoiler, but Greg Sachs chose to go that way. Some speculation, we've heard some speculation down that maybe some of the, when he got the big pack of cars, that they took some air off the rear spoiler and caused him to get inside the side of Derek Coe.
There is the work continuing on the Mark Martin car. They're trying desperately to get him out, but the field is moving off of corner number 4. Still being led by the pace car, but look for it to duck off and the race to resume. Mark Martin does go out of the pits. There you can see him moving onto the racetrack as the field comes through the tri-oval, now in the hands of Dale Earnhardt. And the green flag is out. We resume the Pepsi 400, and let's hope we don't have anything more like we had 25 minutes ago.
Well, we don't have enough cars to have that.
Yeah, we do, and nobody's going to be left running. They move single file now through the first and second turns as the first 2 cars begin to pull away from the rest of the field. There's the third place car being led by Ken Schrader. Kyle Petty tucked in right behind him, and then comes Alan Kulwicki in the 7 machine.
The car we saw on the bottom of the racetrack, Jack Pennington, was going out on the apron as the cars went down through turns 1 and 2.
Earnhardt has moved away from Bill Elliott. Rusty Wallace in car number 27 is on the move. There he is on the bottom of the racetrack, going to the inside of Jimmy Means, coming off the 4th corner.
That's pretty impressive. He's able to pass with ease there.
Remember now, he is on the lead lap. He was able to make repairs and get out there before the pace car came around. So Rusty Wallace is on the lead lap.
Didn't look like the aerodynamics of his car was bothered too much in that wreck. As Jerry Punch said, he was one of the more fortunate ones.
Dale Earnhardt with about a 1.5 car length advantage on Bill Elliott as the field goes off the 2nd corner and down the backstretch once again. It's Earnhardt, Elliott, Schrader, and Kyle Petty.
You know, I think these cars are just now getting up to top speed. It's probably taking them a lap and a half to get the cars up to top speed because Earnhardt had a 10-car length advantage. Now look, Bill Elliott back on the rear bumper. Dick Trickle slow on the inside.
Now, how about it, guys? Are the drivers going to be a little bit more cautious now, seeing what happened a half hour ago?
Of course they are, because all of a sudden they know, wait a minute, we can crash and be out of the Pepsi 400. Sure, they're going to be in the qualifying races in February. If there's a bad crash in the first one, the second one is run trouble-free almost. If the first one is trouble-free, there's going to be a bad crash in the second. That's generally the way it goes.
And again, we could see some guys who don't traditionally do very well here at Daytona, like Rusty Wallace, who is among the survivors and could very well have a good finish here today.
Yeah, it's going to be a break for some drivers who have not had good finishes here because you certainly have a lot less competition to deal with out there.
There's Rusty running behind Jimmy Spencer in the 57 car.
And it can be an advantage, too, for some of the young drivers who haven't had good finishes in the past. We see Jimmy Spencer there in the Hines 57 car. Jimmy ran good here in February. Had some trouble in the race, but it could be a good day for him. You got Bobby Hillin up a little further up the pack there, Dale Jarrett, and several others that could work out well for them.
Rob Moroso, another one who was able to get through the crash without any damage to his car. So, yeah, it could be an interesting afternoon here. Just because we had a big crash and eliminated several of the drivers, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have some great action here this afternoon. The field once again down the backstretch. Ken Schrader running in 3rd position. Kyle Petty right behind him. Then comes Alan Kulwicki. Those top 5 cars running right together on the racetrack. Then back in 6th spot is Harry Gant, and then comes Sterling Marlin, followed by Rob Moroso.
You know, you mentioned some guys getting a break. This is the first break Alan Kulwicki has had all year.
Yep.
Being able to get through this crash and not be involved in it has got to be the first break he's had because his luck has been incredibly bad.
We saw Dale Jarrett try to make a pass, and he had hoped that Terry Labonte would go with him. Terry driving the car number 1, but Terry chose to stay behind Bobby Hillin, and so as a result, Jarrett lost a spot.
Yep, as a matter of fact, I think he lost 2 spots, and he had to fall back in behind Terry Labonte to stay in the draft.
And Butch Miller, the car behind Dale Jarrett's automobile.
Now take a look at these cars that were involved in the crash that have gone behind the wall and are undoubtedly out of the race. There will be work, of course, going on to some of these cars as they try to get them out and pick up some Winston Cup points. But for the most part, there were many, many cars too badly damaged to continue. There's Terry Labonte in the 1 car. He, of course, involved in that incident yesterday, and there was some speculation as to whether he would be able to go the entire distance here this afternoon. If not, he has Phil Parsons standing by in relief.
And I'll tell you, Terry Labonte had one of the strongest cars in practice here before that accident, Bob. He was really going to be strong in the race. Now, this is the backup car. Looks like it's running pretty good, but he tried to make the pass that Dale Jarrett tried a moment ago. Now, that didn't work for him.
Dale gets it back, so Terry Labonte has to go up the racetrack and fall back in line behind Dale Jarrett. And behind them, a couple of guys coming very close together, Butch Miller
and Jimmy Spencer.
Jimmy Spencer, right. Mark Martin is about to be lapped. There he is. The points leader goes a lap down.
Now he came out, and we saw him as the green flag was coming out. He was not too far in front of the leaders. Of course, they're drafting, so they're running faster, but also the damage to the front end of his Folgers Ford also is holding him back some. We'll see if he is able to run with them now that he's in the pack.
Here comes Kyle Petty making a move on Ken Schrader, and Petty moves to third spot. Here comes Alan Kulwicki along on the low side of the track.
Well, those that said you couldn't pass, well, they've just proven them wrong.
They sure did it.
Sterling Marlin trying to make a pass back there on Harry Gant. That doesn't work, so he pulls back in line.
Looks like the 25 car of Ken Schrader has a little bit of a problem, maybe a chassis problem or something, because he's just not running as fast as we're accustomed to seeing him. Ned mentioned at the top of the show, in Daytona 500, maybe had the best car here. In Talladega, had a very, very good car. So it looks like there might be a problem on the Kodiak Chevrolet.
Could be a little bit loose at this point, and he's not fighting those other guys. When they tried to pass him, he let them pass.
Dropping back just a little bit on the field. There's Phil Bartol in car number 73. He's been able to get back out there on the racetrack.
Of course, that's a backup car. He was involved in that mass wreck here yesterday afternoon in practice.
Earnhardt leading Bill Elliott down through the tri-oval once again, with Mark Martin there in third on the racetrack, but he is not on the lead lap. In third position is Kyle Petty. They are catching the 17 car, and Jimmy Horton goes a lap down. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
The reason Jimmy Horton's car is not up to speed, although he had very minimal damage on the outside of the car, is that, as you fellas in the booth, Benny and Ned, astutely determined on pit road, the rear end of the car, I checked with Jeff Hammond, has been pushed back about 2 inches on the right side. They did not have enough time to fix it here in the pits. They went green after one lap of racing action and one lap of caution here after cleaning the track. So when they get a pit stop, they will come in and try to rectify the problem with Jimmy Horton's car. Meanwhile, he has been lapped by Earnhardt and now goes one lap down. Let's go up pit road to John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, speculation has been that Ken Schrader's car might be just a little bit loose as he's starting to fall back. I just talked to Richard Broom, the crew chief on that car. He says there is no problem. In fact, he says it's not loose, that the car is just a little bit tight right now. So they will try and fix that on their first pit stop.
So Ken Schrader has a little bit of a problem with that car, and they'll try to fix it on the first pit stop opportunity. There's Schrader, who has dropped back to the 5th position. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead down the backstretch as Bill Elliott and Kyle Petty chase him. There they lap the 30 car of Michael Waltrip. He's back out there after being involved in the first lap crash. Back with more from the Pepsi 400 after this.
Can you tell the difference in these two alternators? This alternator has a 90-day warranty. So does this one. This alternator costs you as much as $150 in most auto parts stores. At AB&B, you'll pay only a fraction of that cost. Plus, you'll get the same guarantee. You see, it's our low price tag that makes it look like a big mistake. AB&B Auto Parts with 2 locations to serve you better. 7709 New Kings Road, Jacksonville, and US 1 North at the Duval-Nassau County line.
Hey, if you've been injured in any accident, the wisest move you'll ever make is calling Bruce Greenspan. Why? First, Bruce Greenspan gets results. He can help you get the largest money award possible. Second, Bruce Greenspan solves problems. Most of the problems your accident has caused. Third, because Bruce Greenspan cares. It won't cost you anything unless you win. And most awards are tax-free. Call 355-5400 now for a free appointment. Bruce Greenspan. He gets results.
With baseball 4 nights a week, Major League, under the lights, ESPN baseball tonight. Tuesday, Friday, doubleheader. Wednesday, nothing better. Catch it Sunday, watch the fun. Sunday night, a home run.
The Royals face the Orioles, or the Athletics battle the Twins, Wednesday night live on ESPN.
Baseball tonight.
It's one of the most technologically advanced, most rigorously tested fluids on Earth, relentlessly measured for maximum protection against the friction, the wear and tear, the heat and stress of today's engines. It is today's Quaker State. In Europe, in Japan, in America, Quaker State quality has passed the most demanding tests automakers can throw at it. At Quaker State, we don't just say we're tough, we're tested tough. The big Q is one tough motor oil.
For the first time in history, we are live for flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 Winston Cup race from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Purolator, the world's largest filter company. And by Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. Sights and sounds around Daytona International Speedway. There's our leader, Dale Earnhardt, as he is pulling away from the rest of the field, separating himself from Bill Elliott and the others now by quite a bit, as it looks like he's got things hooked up again.
Ned, did you ever think that you'd see a car drive away from a pack of cars with a restrictor plate that they have?
Well, if anybody was going to do it, it would be Dale Earnhardt. He did it here in February, and he's able to do it again here today. That is unusual, no question about it. But I'll tell you, that Goodwrench Chevrolet handles so well on this racetrack, and Richard Childress and his crew have certainly done their homework on the restrictor plates and have been moving.
Look at Martin trying to go by Bill Elliott, and does go by Elliott, or almost goes by Bill. And that's pretty impressive because we see the damage he has to the front of the car. That silver stuff we see is tape.
Look at Kyle Petty, picked up the draft of both of them, went right on by.
And that's for second spot. Kyle Petty, the peak unit in Pontiac, now running second. And here comes a car on the inside off Bill Elliott.
That's Alan Kulwicki as he goes to third position. So Elliott loses 2 spots getting out of the draft.
Mark Martin opened the door for them. When he went and pulled up beside of Bill Elliott, that opened a wide area of air there that they could draft in, and Kyle Petty took advantage of it.
So Kyle Petty now is in second position, and Alan Kulwicki is in third spot. Bill Elliott back to fourth. Kyle Petty, the only driver to finish every race so far in the 1990 season. The halfway point, of course, is today.
Bill Elliott is off the pace down the back straightaway.
Ooh, he has dropped back greatly here in the last half a lap. He's got the car on the bottom of the racetrack, and we may be seeing a pit stop by Bill, maybe?
Yeah, he is definitely off the pace, whether he's lost a cylinder or thinks he has a tire going down. If he thinks he has a tire going down, maybe he would be coming in, or maybe it's just a little loose and he wants to get out of that pack of traffic, but he's dropping all the way to the back. He'll lose that draft if he isn't careful off that group.
That might be what he's trying to do, is just fall in at the rear of the pack and not have a car behind him, because if the car is loose, you can hardly stand a car behind you. It wants to take the air off that rear spoiler and make the car extremely treacherous to drive.
Yeah, that's evidently what he has done. Just decided to back off to the back of it. He's running about 11th place there, so he's not too far out of it.
Yeah, normally he would back off like that, Ned, and you go back to 35th.
Right.
With the crash we had, he goes back to 11th or 12th.
But he has to be careful not to lose the draft. He's getting pretty far behind Labonte there. A lot of shuffling going on there behind Kyle Petty.
And now Ken Schrader seems to have gotten things back in line as he is beginning to move up once again on the inside of the racetrack.
You got to watch your monitor, Bob, because see all those spots he's losing?
Well, he was up there. He had come back a little bit, and then he got out of the draft on the bottom.
And they go by like a freight train on the outside of it.
Well, they sure do. That's the draft, though. If you get out of it, you're hung out to dry.
Now, Michael Waltrip is running good in the yellow car there after coming back out doing repairs on it. He said that he would probably be the best of the wounded cars, and he is running good along with Mark Martin.
Ken Schrader's going back to Bill Elliott, it looks like.
Well, if his car's pushing and Elliott's loose, maybe they need to get together and see if that would help him.
And that's the shot from the airship Shamu, the piloting airship being captained by Mike Fitzpatrick from Newport, Rhode Island. Operating the airborne camera is Bob Mickelson. Airship Shamu is one of the world's largest and newest airships. It's based at SeaWorld of Florida in Orlando.
Kyle Petty leads the freight team. Of course, he's running second. Dale Earnhardt, he's checked out on him. And in third place now is the car number 7 of Alan Kowicki.
And we're looking for Bill Elliott to find out how far he dropped back. There he is. Doesn't look like he's having very much speed out of that car at all. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Mike Beam.
Well, Mike, Bill's falling back. Any type of problem on the car?
He just said it's loose a little bit. He's going to get behind all his other cars, get clear. You know, just wait till we stop and try to fix it. It just got loose all of a sudden. I think we can fix it if we have a caution. It'll be all right.
Well, nothing mechanically wrong, apparently, with Bill Elliott's car. Just a little bit loose, and he wanted to get out of the pack so as to avoid any trouble like we saw earlier in the race, Bob.
Well, he sure did get out of the pack. He let everybody go on, and he's now running by himself out there. This is the action ahead of him.
That's Davey Allison, who just came, or is it? Davey just came out of the pits there a moment ago in the garage area.
Here comes Alan Kowicki trying to slingshot past Mark Martin, and he does. Here comes Sterling Marlin right behind him. Now, again, Mark Martin is not on the lead lap. Here comes Rob Moroso. We talked about how the big crash on lap number 2 could be an advantage for the young guys, those that survived, and indeed, Rob Moroso is having a good run, but he's on the bottom of the racetrack out of the draft.
And boy, is this young man going to get a real lesson in drafting now, because just like Kenny Schrader a moment ago, he's going to the back of this line.
Yeah, they're going to drive right by him up on the outside. He has nobody to help him down there, no draft there, unless he can scoot back in there. Now, he has room right there. If he'll get back in, he needs to do it. And he's going to do it. Good, smart driving, Rob.
And some of the front cars in front of him moved down, which allowed him to catch some air off those front cars.
And to turn number 3, 36-degree banking. Alan Kowicki chasing Kyle Petty, who is running in second position. Sterling Marlin now is in 4th spot, and Moroso is 5th. 6th is going to be Bobby Hillen. 7th, Dale Jarrett. And there's Dick Trickle, who continues to struggle. Despite the fact that he was involved in that crash early in the race, the in-car camera is still working.
I'm impressed.
Hut Strickland in car number 12 goes back out onto the racetrack. He was another one of those involved in the big mess. And there's the bumper cam on Dick Trickle's car that also is still working. That's amazing.
It is
obviously
amazing.
didn't get back and hit in the back. Kowicki takes over second position.
Kyle Petty goes high, and here comes Sterling Marlin down on the inside trying to take over third. Rob Moroso going to try to follow him through. You know, Rob Moroso, Jake Elder has been the crew chief on that car, but after this race today, Jake will be leaving and going with the Terry Labonte team.
2 wide. Sterling Marlin on the inside and Kyle Petty on the outside, and I don't think that's where Sterling wants to be.
Well, he
maybe
gets some help. Maybe
yeah.
if Rob goes with him, that might be the ticket for him to make that pass. And it looks like he is going to go with him. Kyle goes a little high again. Yeah, let Sterling go on by, and Rob has the momentum to drive on by as well.
So Kyle Petty is the one that's now losing positions.
Yep, now they line up on the inside and say, goodbye, Kyle. This motor right on by. See, they get bumper to bumper. No place for him to get in there. Now, he's got some buddies coming up there. He and Dale Jarrett are pretty good buddies, and Michael Waltrip. Let's see how good of buddies they are.
I was going to say, you can make some real enemies or real friends doing this, can't you?
You sure can.
Well, the Dale Jarrett pulled in behind Kyle there for a moment, and that helped Kyle a little bit. I think Dale was hoping it might help him get by Bobby Hill. It didn't work.
Now they go into single file once again. That's Schrader on the outside looking high. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Kyle Petty.
Well, one of the reasons Kyle has dropped back is he realized he told Gary Nelson on the radio a minute ago that if they run door to door, side by side, just letting Earnhardt get further and further away, he would hope to lead this pack in a single file draft and try to run Earnhardt down. He said some of the guys behind him are getting a little bit impatient and they're wanting to pass, so the more they pass, the more ground they lose to Earnhardt, the leader.
And he has lost several spots here just in the last couple of laps. There's Ken Schrader, his position behind Bobby Hillen and in front of Dale Jarrett. And again, we tell you that 2 new things here in this race: the radial tires that are being used for the first time and a smaller restrictor plate. And we asked Schrader, how much will the smaller plate affect the racing here today in the Pepsi 400?
Big difference between that half plate
versus having a plate, but another 30 seconds just slowed them down just a little bit. But then Goodyear came back with this radial tire that seems to have the cars running a little faster.
So every disadvantage that the plate created, the advantage was gained back through the radial tires, and the qualifying speed here this weekend was considerably faster than at this race last year.
Ken Schrader, we got a report just a moment ago that his car is a little bit tight. Well, he's went to the top of the racetrack and has made his car handle better. He's changed his line around the racetrack, and the car is handling. As a matter of fact, if he can get a good run on the outside, that guy might be trouble. Watch how he's following the other car now. Oh, good race here between Harry Gant, Dale Jarrett. There's the 30 car, Michael Walter back trying to. Who's he going to help, Ned?
Well, I don't know. I expect he'll help Harry because Harry seems to have the momentum right now. So he'll probably try to follow him around.
Oh, we have a spin in turn number 1. A car at the bottom of the racetrack is Bill Elliott, and he's hit the wall.
Yes, he has. It looks like pretty hard, too.
He has considerable damage to the front end of that Coors Ford. Bill Elliott, who had dropped back because of some handling problems, has taken the car into the first turn wall, and the first caution flag of the day comes out, but actually it's the second one since the first caution period turned into a red flag condition. We'll be back with more live coverage of the Pepsi 400 right after this.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
What could a sleek Jaguar have in common with a fat cat that a dashing deer has in common with a nimble ram, and a big bad bulldog has in common with a cute little rabbit? The same quality filter protection you can give whatever animal it is you drive. From Purolator, the world's largest filter company.
Look out tomorrow.
When the editors of Motor Week tested the Grand Prix sports sedan, they evaluated the things you'd expect: room, comfort, function. But they also judged things no less important: acceleration, braking, feel. The result, Motor Week's driver's choice as America's best sedan was the Grand Prix Sports Sedan from Pontiac, of course.
I don't worry about the quality of parts my mechanic uses. Put in whatever's cheapest, son. I'm gonna get rid of it once the ashtrays are full anyway.
Quality service starts with quality parts, and your Big A Pro's got them. So look for the sign of the Big A Pro.
Just as you rejoin us, the race resumes. The green flag flies once again, and we are back to racing. Now, Jimmy Spencer was the leader of the race, but he's being passed already by Dale Earnhardt.
Didn't take Earnhardt long, did it?
Did you see that car accelerate? Man, that Earnhardt, that Goodrich Chevrolet is so fast.
It really is. He has a lot of horsepower, but also he has a good transmission. The gear ratio in it is so he can really get good takeoffs.
We saw him do that at the start of the race, and there on that restart, he did the same thing, just much superior to everybody else. Well, we'd like to remind you that the 900 Sports 1-900 number is available for your dialing. It costs $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute. 1-900-988-2500 is the number. And the comments this week concern what your childhood was like and how does this affect the way you are as a parent. Hear those comments from Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Junior Johnson, and Darrell Waltrip. Again, 1-900-988-2500 for the Sports 1-900 number.
I'm going to have to call and ask Junior to answer that question because he doesn't have any children.
There's Kyle Petty trying to move around the Jimmy Spencer car, number 57. Spencer apparently, as you said, Benny, didn't change any tires. He just took on fuel, and that put him back up front. At least he didn't change any more than 2 tires, but I think it's working on him.
Here comes Kyle Petty. Look, Sterling Marlin on the inside of Alan Kowicki trying to take that spot away.
Two abreast racing into the third turn. Marlin on the bottom. Ooh, they touched.
They did touch.
Schrader's right behind them. He's saying, get me out of here.
That's what happened. Schrader pulled up behind Sterling Marlin, took the air off that rear spoiler, and momentarily the car got a little bit loose, and Sterling Marlin went up and bumped the 7 car, looked like.
I'm sure they made an adjustment on that car number 25 of Schrader. He'll probably be a little stronger now than he was earlier. They said the car was pushing a little bit. Back in a little bit too tight, but we'll see now if he's able to move up towards the front. And he's trying to make a move on Jimmy Spencer, but couldn't quite do it that time. And look how far away Sterling Marlin and Kyle Petty have pulled from them while they run side by side back here.
Let's take a look at the Big A pit stop performance of 4 drivers during that most recent series of pit stops. Dale Earnhardt, 17.7 for the driver, slowing down and speeding up. The crew took 23.4 seconds for a total of 41.1. He had the best of the 4. Kulwicki with a total of 42.3. The 94 car of Marlin with a 42.2, and the Moroso team 44.3. But notice on the left column there, the rapidity with which Dale Earnhardt gets in and out of the pits. That's the difference in that series of pit stops.
Well, there's several reasons for that. Ned talked about a transmission ratio in first and second gear, which allows him to do that. The second thing is he was leading the race. No one was blocking him. Look at this battle down the back straightaway.
Well, they're 3 abreast again. We've already seen that doesn't work too well here at Daytona today. They're going to get back to 2 going into turn 3. 2 abreast, that is.
And Dale Earnhardt was leading the race, so he's able to get in and out of the pits easier than most cars. Getting out was not this easy this time because there was a sledgehammer laying on the racetrack. And he qualifies well enough that they have an opening either before or behind the car. Again, getting in and out is easier because of the opening. That's some of the reasons that Earnhardt does so well making pit stops.
And the reason you say he qualifies so well, if you qualify towards the front, you choose your pits according to the way that you qualify. Except for the Winston Cup champion, he gets his first choice.
Ooh, some contact there maybe between Harry Gant in 33 and Alan Kulwicki in number 7 as they come off the second turn.
Yeah, and Alan Kulwicki's car is not running as good as it was earlier. He had moved up into second place before that caution.
It's a great battle here for position. All these cars are on the same lap. That is the number 8 car of Hillen, the 20 car of Moroso. Dale Jarrett is in car 21. Terry Labonte is back there, and so is Rusty Wallace.
Here's Gant trying to make a move down on the inside. His car running good. He's in the green car. There's 2 running side by side there.
Boy, just a terrific crowd here for this Pepsi 400. They don't draw the crowd that they do for the Daytona 500, but still just an unbelievable gathering of people here on what will be a very hot and humid day in Central Florida.
By far the largest crowd they've ever had for the Pepsi 400.
And Ken Schrader looks like he's got that high groove working better and better.
He and Harry Gant are running side by side with Gant on the low end of the racetrack and Ken Schrader up on top.
Now Schrader could just get by the 57, he'd be able to go on, but he's not able to do that. Spencer's there, so lets Harry Gant come back on the inside, and Kulwicki is down with Harry Gant. That's helps him.
Spencer hanging right in there in that 57 car.
Yeah, on the straightaways, he's helping Schrader a little bit because he drifts out into the outside lane, but in the turns then he goes down to the inside, so that'll help Gant a little bit there, so he's helping both of them, but neither of them enough to get on by.
Here comes Callan Kulwicki. Looked like he had a notion to go to the inside and make it 3 wide, but he'll think better of that and fall in behind Harry Gant at turn 3.
If we haven't explained to you folks what we're talking about, 2 cars running nose to tail can run much faster than cars running by themselves. And when cars get side by side, like the 25 on the outside, the green and white 33 on the inside, Harry Gant and Ken Schrader, they slow down because the air they're pushing all that air that's in front of them, and they slow down dramatically.
As we watch this battle, Jeff Bodine has just pulled the Budweiser Ford back out into action. Of course, he is many laps down now, in fact, about 40 laps down.
And there is Jeff, who is on pit road, not yet back out on the racetrack, but on pit road, getting ready to go back out there.
And nothing has changed. Meanwhile, back the race between Schrader and Harry Gant, they're still side by side.
The 57 car is pulling away because of the side-by-side racing behind him.
I think Schrader's going to get a break now. It looks like Bobby Hillen has broken away. He's going to pull up on the outside of the 25 behind 25, and those 3 cars might be able to pull away from Harry Gant.
Let's see.
Boy, that's a great shot from the blimp. You can really see them close in and see how the aerodynamics work.
There are 15 cars in the lead lap. Mark Martin is running 16th. He's one lap down. Those 15, as we watch these battles, of course, Dale Earnhardt leading. Kyle Petty is second. Third is Sterling Marlin. Jimmy Spencer is fourth. Harry Gant fifth. Sixth, Ken Schrader. Seventh is Alan Kwiecki. Eighth, Rob Moroso. Ninth is car number 8, Bobby Hillin. Then Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Means, and the car number 98 of Butch Miller. Those are the 15 cars that are in the lead lap.
Schrader finally rid himself of the Jimmy Spencer car, got in front of him. Now those cars might get in line. Here comes Kwiecki still on the inside. They're going to make it 3 abreast.
That's Brett Bodine's modified down there on the bottom.
Exactly.
This pack of cars running considerably behind this pack of cars, which contains the front 3 runners. Now, Dale Earnhardt there, as you can see, is the leader on the left. Second place belongs to the 42 of Kyle Petty. The 6th car of Mark Martin is not on the lead lap. And then the 3rd place car of Sterling Marlin, and then Michael Walter. Look at the 6th car. Now, how many hours and how much money did they spend in the wind tunnel to get that front end just right? Oh, 3 abreast here with Harry Gant, Bobby Hillin, and Jimmy Spencer, and they survived that. Whew.
Well, I think Bobby Hillin wisely backed out at just a moment. He saw what was coming up there, and he said, hey, I don't want to get in that situation.
Another smart move on Hillin's part. Let's look at it again. Boy, this was close.
Woof. Yes, it was. Just similar to the Greg Sachs deal there. Spencer going up almost into Bobby Hillin. You can see Hillin backed off just momentarily there and let him go by on the inside. Very smart move by Bobby Hillin.
That's right, because we could have wiped out 4 or 5 more cars if he hadn't backed out of the gas.
Now Kwiecki beginning to show some strength here. He's on the bottom side of Jimmy Spencer. Here comes Rob Moroso behind him, and also Bobby Hillin. Some exciting racing going on here at Daytona International Speedway. We're live with flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400.
Heat and friction, the mortal enemies of your car's engine. If I could show you how to reduce heat and friction, reduce maintenance, increase mileage, and extend the life of your engine in one simple step, you'd say, now that's a great deal. Well, you bet you would. Well, now there's QMI engine oil treatment. Just 1 quart of QMI engine oil treatment with your next oil change is all that it takes. QMI's PTFE resins are permanently fused to the high friction areas of your car's engine. The treatment lasts 50,000 miles. PTFE resins are the slickest substance known to man. It's like wet ice on wet ice. And it's only $29.95, just $29.95.
QMI is easy to use. Just add 1 quart of QMI with your next oil change. It's just $29.95 and will last over 50,000 miles. For just $29.95, experience the benefits of QMI engine treatment today with our money-back guarantee. QMI engine treatment is available in Jacksonville at all Texaco Express Lube locations.
Major League Baseball is throwing a party, and you're invited. Interviews, features, and more are all part of the All-Star Salute. Monday night at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
To be the official auto parts and service store of NASCAR, it takes the right parts at the right price. Right, Smokey?
Right, Darrell.
And the right tires. Right, Junior?
Right, DW.
And the right price and selection on name brand products. Right, buddy?
Right, Darrell. This week at Western Auto, get AC oil filters for $197. AC oil filters don't just fit, they match.
And the right service crew to keep you running strong. Right, Jeff?
Right, Darrell.
That's why I take our car to Western Auto. Right, Stevie?
Wrong, Darrell. I take it to Western Auto.
From Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing, welcome back to our live coverage of the Pepsi 400, the halfway point of the 1990 Winston Cup season. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Weiser Bolt from Weiser Locks, the world's only entrance lock with a built-in security deadbolt. By Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. And by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. There's the overhead shot of Daytona International Speedway from the blimp. Now, Dale Earnhardt, we understand, may have a problem. You can see the pit crew getting set for a possible entry onto pit road by Earnhardt. Jerry, what about it?
Well, apparently Dale radioed a moment ago that the car picked up a push. He thought he might have a push in the car, so he radioed again next lap by that he may have a right front tire going down. And now he feels like the car may just a little bit squirrely out there, but he's going to try to hold on if he can. And they're going to just watch him and see the car seems to be filling back in a little bit. Benny Ertel was standing with me. Benny, what did he say on the radio just a minute ago?
He thought he had a right front flag going down, but what he's saying now is that he thinks he's just cutting it coming off the corner a little bit too tight. So he went back to his regular routine, so he's running. Everything's fine.
So some anxious moments here in the Earnhardt pit.
And what he doesn't want to do is what Bill Elliott did. Elliott thought he had a problem and continued out there, but he ended up in the wall. Here comes Rusty Wallace back in for a second stop here in just the last few laps.
Yes, he's already one lap down. Now they're going to the left side of the Miller car number 27 to change those tires. They changed the right side during the last caution or last unscheduled pit stop. The leader stopped on lap 31. We're now on lap 58, coming up on lap 58. Let's see if Wallace goes another lap down. He probably will, as Earnhardt comes down the front straightaway, so Rusty's going to be 2 laps down.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt down through the trioval. There he is right there, and Rusty goes 2 laps down.
Watch this line. Watch him go in the corner. And he should go right up next to the guardrail. Dale Earnhardt right now has to be a little bit afraid of that right front tire. I'm surprised he's that far away from the wall. You want to be as close as you possibly can, so if something happens to that right front, you just slap the wall and not hit it head on.
For those of you just joining us, we're a little behind schedule because we had a red flag for 25 minutes as a result of this incident. It happened as the cars came down to complete lap number 1.
We see Greg Sachs in the middle in the yellow car get together with the 10 of Derek Cope. They collect Richard Petty, and all of a sudden the racetrack is completely blocked. And I don't know, they had to be 20, 25 cars in this accident.
Several had to fall out of the race at that moment. Several others went behind the wall to make repairs. No drivers were injured in the incident. That's the good thing about it. No drivers were injured. Now, the number 10 car is back in the race, Derek Cope, and also the number 19 car is back. There's Cope, who's on pit road as they try to get him back in the race. And the number 19 car of Chad Little is also back in there. Hey, we may have 40 cars running here at the end of the race after all.
What's the temperature?
Well, it's way up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 90 degrees when we saw it on the pace lap, but now he's up about 120.
Yeah, almost 120.
Yep. Well, it gets hot inside those race cars, and remember, he hasn't run that much out there today. He's going back out on the track now. But
the sunshine is beginning to peek through. We had an overcast when the race started, but now the sun is shining through, and as it does, the temperature and the humidity is going to heat up. We understand the 3 car is going to come in next time around. Jerry Punch will be there to call the pit stop as it occurs. Jerry, what information do you have?
Well, there seems to be a lot of concern, as you talked a little bit. They saw what happened to Bill Elliott when Bill tried to stay out with a right rear tire going down. He couldn't feel it. The radial tires feel so good at the drivers, you really can't feel a tire when it's going down. Earlier in the week, Rusty Wallace came in and said, my car feels great. And he looked at the tires and he had an equalized tire. So Rusty didn't even know the tire had been equalized because the radials feel so smooth on the racetrack. That's what may be the problem with Dale Earnhardt. He may have equalized a right front tire. Earnhardt now making his way down pit road. Childress and Earnhardt have discussed it now for 4 laps. They decide to make the call and be safe rather than sorry. Earnhardt, Goodrich Chevrolet, comes to a halt. They whip the air wrench here in the air. Kurt Chevrolet will change the right front tire. They clean the windshield. Let's check the left side tires. Brakes really smoking. You see, well, they really have been smoking that right front tire. Earnhardt's car down and away. 12.5 seconds. He heads back to turn 1.
And Jerry, he should be able to get out and stay in the lead lap. He was far enough out in front, and that good pit stop that they just made should allow him to stay in the lead, because the lead cars now are coming into turn 3 and 4. Sterling Marlin now leading this race.
A smart move by Earnhardt without question.
Now this puts Mark Martin back in the lead lap.
At the tail end of the lead lap.
He's at the tail end there. If he should get a caution flag, he would be right back in this thing, and that Ford's running fast.
So don't count our points leader out of this race, despite some adversity early in the going. He's staying ahead of the leader of the race, Sterling Marlin, in car number 94. And back of Marlin, here's the pack of cars that includes Harry Gant at number 33 and Ken Schrader at number 25 as they battle for second spot.
Gant running second, Ken Schrader running third. Schrader seems to be content just running along behind Harry Gant's Oldsmobile.
Alan Kulwicki back there in fourth position.
2 races ago in Pocono, Pennsylvania, Harry Gant in that green and white skull car became the oldest driver to ever win a Winston Cup event. Harry Gant is 50 years old.
And he has really had an impressive going the last 2 outings. After the Pocono win, he finished 5th at Michigan, and here he is running in the second spot this morning. Yeah, it's still morning, isn't it?
Yes.
Eastern time.
That means it's morning better where they're watching us, Bob.
From the airship Shamu once again. Gant leading Ken Schrader into the third turn.
You can see how far behind Alan Kulwicki is. Not too far. Of course, that's Rob Moroso right on him, and Kyle Petty coming into the pits in the peak antifreeze Pontiac. Jerry, is this a scheduled pit stop for him?
No, it is not, Ned. They think they have the same problem that Dale Earnhardt thought he had, and it's a tire going down. They saw what happened to Bill Elliott. Everyone's gotten a little bit concerned about not being able to feel his tires leaking down slowly. Pontiac is here on pit road. Kyle Petty is getting out. The windshield clean. They will change the right side tires, and now they will come around and change all 4 tires, making sure they don't leave anything unturned and taking the lug nuts off the left side. At least they hope they're going to change left side tires. Now problem with the right front. They'd already removed the jack from the car. They did not have the right front lug nuts on. Now they move around to the left side of the car, so that cost them an extra 4 or 5 seconds. Over 25 seconds, 26, 27 seconds. The clock ticking away as Kyle Petty sitting on pit road, losing valuable time here under the green. An unscheduled stop for a tire possibly going down. Looks like it might have been the right front, but they are still having... Now the car just got in gear and jumps out of gear. Now the car stalls. They are pushing the car down pit road, and the trouble continues for the pit crew and Kyle Petty.
And he has already gone 1 lap down, Jerry. And if they don't get it fired in a hurry, he could go another one down. Others will have to be making pit stops before too long. Before this was a possible pit stop for Kyle Petty.
This was a disaster for Kyle, who was running so well, but unfortunately had trouble on the pit stop. Now he finally gets going, but is moving up to speed very, very slowly down in the first turn.
Yeah, I wonder if he only has 4th gear in that car, the way that he's taking off. It just seems that he has no power at all to the wheels. He might just have 4th gear, and that might have been part of the problem with him going out of the pits.
Dale Earnhardt has just made a pit stop. And we'll take a look at his Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance. Look at the driver time, 16.3. It was over 17 seconds last time, so that is one way that he's gaining an advantage on everybody else getting in and out of the pits so quickly. Let's go back down to Jerry.
We're standing by with Richard Childers. Richard, the pit stop, you thought you might have a right front tire?
Yeah, the car picked up a little bit of push, so we just wanted to be a little bit safe and go ahead and change it. We didn't want to take a chance of blowing a tire out.
Dale seems like he's so quick coming down pit road and getting out. He's so much quicker than a lot of the guys making pit stops. Do you practice that, or is that just something that comes naturally for him?
No, you know, we just got the car set where it'll get up to its maximum real quick. Dale's good at getting in and out, too.
Richard Childers here. They made the call. Better safe than sorry. They came in and changed those right side tires.
Well, that's absolutely right. You don't want to take any chances like Bill Elliott did, and he ended up in the wall. But Dale Earnhardt did come in for a change of tires, and so did Kyle Petty.
And Jimmy Means has just been in the pits in the Alka Seltzer Pontiac. Jimmy was one of the 14 cars that were left running in the lead lap.
And another car that has come back out onto the racetrack is Charlie Glotzback in car number 2. He was involved in the early incident, but he too is back out there on the racetrack. We'll have more from Daytona after this.
The Ford Thunderbird. A perfect car for a nice Sunday drive.
be the official auto parts and service store of NASCAR, it takes the right parts at the right price. Right, Smokey?
Right, Darrell.
And the right tires. Right, Junior?
Right, DW.
And the right price and selection on name brand products. Right, buddy?
Right, Darrell. This week at Western Auto, get AC oil filters for $197. AC oil filters don't just fit, they match.
And the right service crew to keep you running strong. Right, Jeff?
Right, Darrell.
That's why I take our car to Western Auto. Right, Stevie?
Wrong, Darrell. I take it to Western Auto.
Le Mans, the world's most famous 24-hour endurance race, and the scene of a major triumph for Jaguar and Goodyear. For both Goodyear and Jaguar, it was a double triumph. First and second at the 24 Hours of Daytona in February, and now, first and second at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Superior performance. It's why Jaguar chooses Goodyear, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
There is Daytona Beach. You can see that there's a little bit of haze separating the racetrack from the beach, which is about 4 miles away. The action continuing here at Daytona International Speedway. We're just past the halfway point of the Pepsi 400, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race. All the leaders have made their pit stops, and now we settle back for some racing action, but Dale Earnhardt has almost a half-lap lead on the rest of the field.
Yeah, he's not racing. He's just his crew's running away from him.
Giving you the interval now between the first and second and third place cars. You can see that there is a lot of open racetrack before we get back here to a pretty good race among Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Sterling Marlin. Second, third, and fourth right there as they pass Jimmy Means.
Now, those guys are racing just as hard as they possibly can.
Ricky Rudd makes his pit stop in the number 5 Levi Garrett Chevrolet. He's among the last to make a pit stop here at the halfway point. Tire change, and Ricky Rudd moves back out onto the racetrack. You can see pit road is pretty vacant right now. Rudd moves back up to speed. There's the battle of second once again. Gant leading Schrader and Marlin. Sterling Marlin 15th in the Winston Cup points, but it certainly doesn't reflect how well that car has performed sometimes during this year.
I'm surprised that the 25 car, Ken Schrader, is not as dominant as Dale Earnhardt he was in the Daytona 500. He was in the Winston 500 at Talladega. This is a similar racetrack to Talladega.
Yep. I don't know if it's the Hamlin, the radial tires, of course, first time they've run them here at Daytona might make a difference, but you're right. He is not as competitive as he was in those two events compared to Earnhardt. Still the battle for second. Harry Gant running second. Third is Ken Schrader, Sterling Marlin running fourth.
And there's Ricky Rudd going a lap down to these two cars.
Yeah, he just made a pit stop a moment ago.
From this shot overhead in the airship Shamu, you can really see the banking here at Daytona, flattening out as we go down the backstretch.
31 degrees the banking at the Daytona International Speedway. And I think the tri-oval at the start-finish line is about 18 degrees. So these guys do not have to lift off the throttle. They can run wide open all the way around this 2.5-mile oval racetrack.
It is an overcast day, but still the temperature is going up, up, and up. You can see inside the Chad Little car, the needle is pegged. It is past the 120-degree mark and holding.
Yeah, it's hotter than that. Normally, I think they say had 135 to 140 degrees inside of these race cars. Can you imagine having to work at that kind of temperature?
I can't imagine doing the pit work on a day like this with our guys down there dressed in their fire suits and chasing stories all around down there. It's got to be very uncomfortable for them, too. We're up here in the nice air conditioning.
You see the bullseye on the dash of that car? That's a barbecue sauce. And that's one reason that Chad Little is back in the race, is for those people. Because he isn't going for the Winston Cup points. He's out to run about 18 or 19 races this year. But they bought this in-car camera. And he gets back on the racetrack, and watch, we're showing a couple of million people Bullseye barbecue sauce. That's how important that sponsors and advertising is in Winston Cup racing.
You're familiar with Bullseye barbecue sauce, aren't you?
Yeah. I made a little bit of that in my time.
That's right. And interesting that you shows. Hey,
good sorry about that, Denny. Couldn't resist.
Interesting you should mention, because that Peak car that we saw ahead of Chad Little, Peak is pulling out of Winston Cup racing for next year as we continue to watch the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet driven by Dale Earnhardt just passing cars and having it all to himself. Race recap from Western Auto shows that Dale Earnhardt has led 65 of the 85 laps, 2 caution periods, 7 laps. And we have 11 cars currently on the lead lap at an average speed of 158.835 miles an hour.
You know, this is the most trouble he's had all day passing anybody. He's followed him for a half a lap.
Lap leaders include Earnhardt, of course, Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, Ken Schrader, and Rob Moroso. Now, those that are out of the race, most of these because of the accident as they came down to complete lap number 1. Sachs, Petty, Foyt, Wilson, Terry Byers, the Australian, Phil Barkdahl, Mickey Gibbs, Ernie Irvin, Morgan Shepherd, and Charlie Klotzbach. Now, let's take a look at the Mechanic of the Year standings. As we reach the halfway point, Robin Pemberton, crew chief on the number 6 car, is on top of the standings, with Tim Brewer of the number 11 Jeff Godine car is 2nd, then Tony Glover is 3rd, Gary Nelson 4th, and Mike Beam 5th position in the Mechanic of the Year standings.
Well, let's give word to Mike Staten. You remember the fireman that was injured here in the ARCA race back in February? Well, he is meeting his goal that he would be back here to the Daytona Speedway for this race, and he is here today. And he spoke of his fellow workers at the safety meeting this morning. He's still off work, but he's making great strides at physical therapy and working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And he wants to thank all the race fans everywhere for their thoughts and prayers during his recovery.
And, you know, folks, if you just woke up out on the West Coast, or if you just joined us, Bob talked about a big crash. Watch this. This is coming down to complete the first lap. Derek Cope and Greg Sachs get together, collect Richard Petty, and all of a sudden, the racetrack, as you can see, is completely blocked. There's no place for anyone in the rear to go, and anyone who made it through was lucky. Just luck is the only reason for getting through that melee.
That brought out the red flag for 25 minutes as the track was cleared. No driver was injured in the accident. That is the most important thing that we stress. No driver injuries because of the accident involving at least 20 cars. Surviving all of that, well, Dale Earnhardt certainly did. Rusty Wallace is right there, but again, he's a lap down, a couple of laps down in the field.
In fact, Dale Earnhardt just went around him. I think that'll put Rusty Wallace 3 laps down. And when we saw Earnhardt lapped the car number 57 of Jimmy Spencer a few moments ago, that left only 10 cars in the lead lap. As a matter of fact, only 9 cars now are in the lead lap. That was the second time that Jimmy Spencer had been lapped.
Still, the best battle on the racetrack involves 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Sterling Marlin, as they are separated only by just a few cars. Oh, we have a spin coming off of corner number 2. Car spinning to the infield. That's Mark Martin.
Yes, it is. And so the caution is out.
Going to bring out our 3rd caution flag of the afternoon as Mark Martin's car is still rolling as he tries to get it going, headed in the right direction. The spin happening off of corner number 2. Martin sliding to the infield grass on the backstretch, but he has it headed in the right direction and back out on the racetrack, and so the caution flag is coming out.
You know, the impressive thing about that spin, Mark Martin turned to go towards the infield instead of back on the racetrack and away from the traffic that was coming on. I don't know how he was thinking about all those things. You'd think his thought would be get back to the pits as quickly as possible, but he turned away from the traffic.
Mark Martin was running in 10th position when the spin occurred. He is, of course, the Winston Cup points leader and is trying to hang on to that lead here this morning in the Pepsi 400. He comes down and receives the yellow flag, and now the pace car will be picking up the field, and probably, what do you think about pit stops, guys?
Oh, yeah, they'll be coming in, no question about it. Now, if this race had gone green all the way, fellas, Dale Earnhardt would have had to make one more pit stop than the other guys because he came in much earlier. But now that all goes out the window. Everybody will have to make at least one more pit stop after this one that they'll make during this caution.
Okay. 25 car of Ken Schrader will be hoping to get into a position after the pit stops and hook back right on the tail end of the number 3 car and go with him.
I don't know if he can keep up. You know, there's always saying he ought to hook on a chain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he, even with a chain, if he can keep up with that 3 car. Earnhardt looks like he is purely the class of the field.
He does indeed. There you see the pit crew members out on pit road with boards in hand, directing their driver to their assigned position. The Richard Childress crew getting set. Here comes Dale Earnhardt and the others down pit road. We'll see how many cars stay out there. Some will, but most of them duck into pit road for service.
And you have to see how far Earnhardt accelerated ahead of the other cars coming into the pits. Let's go to the pits.
Earnhardt again, a welcome relief, as Ned Jarrett mentioned. Ned, this will put everyone back on sync. Schrader on the bottom, Earnhardt on top. As you see the crew now for Kenny Schrader, they will change right side tires. Likewise, the Earnhardt crew now coming around to the left side of the car. It'll be a 4-tire change. Crews taking advantage of this yellow flag. You look at all 4 tires. Put 4 fresh Goodyear Radial Eagles on their Chevrolets. And Schrader and Earnhardt's crew. Schrader's car down and away. Earnhardt's car off the deck. He moves back toward turn 1. Here's a race down pit road. Here again, making his move. Here's Dale Jarrett. Kenny Schrader, finally, the Kodiak Chevrolet headed back to turn 1.
Well, Earnhardt was pitted right at the last pit toward turn number 1, and Schrader was just about at the midway point, so Earnhardt had a lot less distance to travel to get back out onto the racetrack, and he hangs on to the advantage. So we are under caution for the 3rd time here this afternoon because of a spin off of corner number 2 involving Mark Martin. And here is a replay of it. You can see the car getting loose, coming off the corner and sliding to the infield grass.
Yeah, the car at the back end just went out from under him. Where the tire went down, we don't know, but he gets it down on the grass, spins it around.
There was a car right behind him which may have taken the air off the rear spoiler, or they could have possibly made contact coming off the second corner.
So Mark Martin brings out the 3rd caution of the day here in the Pepsi 400. Stand by for more live coverage from Daytona International Speedway.
There are all kinds of sophisticated instruments designed to let you express yourself. And Ford has one you'll want to take on the road. Ford Probe. It's a very powerful way to express yourself. And once you've started playing, you may never want to stop.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Being a tough motor oil takes more than tough talk. Sure, one brand says it's for smaller cars, while Quaker State has been tested tough enough to exceed the most demanding specs for every size car sold in the U.S. Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Whose car is that? A lot of cars in this town need parts from Parts Plus. Take a hint from your car. Go to Parts Plus for the quality name brand auto parts you need. Because Parts Plus sells name brand auto parts with quality you can rely on. The same quality name brands used by professional race car drivers. So the next time your car needs auto parts, come to Parts Plus.
We're America's family of auto parts stores. We're Parts Plus.
Some of baseball's greatest legends take to the field before the Major League All-Stars play ball. From historic Wrigley Field, it's the Equitable Old Timers game, Monday night at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN.
This track back is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
For years, many of you race fans have heard us talk to crew chiefs and engine builders about engine performance. They tell us, well, on the dyno, it showed us this, and in this run on the dyno, it showed this. Well, many of you say, well, what's a dyno? Well, dyno is short for dynamometer. It's this monstrosity I'm standing beside here. Now, a dynamometer actually allows you to take an engine, this being the basic engine from a race car, Winston Cup car, into a room away from the race car and hook it up to all sorts of sensoring wires. And we'll take, here's the carburetor. Air under atmospheric pressure with carefully measured temperature comes through the carburetor, and the engine is run by a technician. Everything is monitored, every single parameter. For example, here, exhaust gas temperatures are monitored from each individual header pipe. Now, the heart and soul of the dynamometer actually is this little blue box here in the back. This allows, by compressed water, a conversion of torque from the engine into a horsepower reading. This interpretation then is channeled outside the room to a series of computers and gauges and printout devices. A technician will actually stand here at this panel, and as he runs the dynamometer, monitor every single parameter: volts, power torque conversions, RPM, airflow, all of which is fed into a computer display and then into a printout machine.
So that's how a dynamometer works and the information you can get from it. Here are the top 10. It's Bobby Hillen, Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Alan Kulwicki. 6 through 10, Dale Jarrett, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, Rob Moroso, and Kyle Petty. And we've completed 93 out of 160 laps here in the Pepsi 400 live from Daytona International Speedway.
Jerry Punch did the piece on the dynamometer. And Jerry, I ran across a fellow in the airport the other day, Ronnie Grayson, who makes steering boxes. And we talk about the restrictor plate and how important it is to find that last bit of horsepower. They dynoed last week in Charlotte a steering box. And he showed me a dyno sheet where he picked up 7 horsepower with a steering box. Turning the car, turning the steering wheel of the car back and forth because the steering pump mounts to the engine. And he made a special steering box that gained 7 horsepower. As a matter of fact, he had one in a little brown box bringing Dale Earnhardt. It's probably on that 3 Goodwrench Chevrolet right now. 7 more horsepower.
And that's a lot.
Just
it is.
Another reason that car is running so fast.
Exactly.
Here comes the field down for a restart once again. Bobby Hillen is leading him down. Dale Earnhardt running in second position. Let's see how things shake out. Earnhardt has been so strong on the restarts. Let's see if he has another good one here as the green comes out on lap number 96. Earnhardt will go to the inside of Bobby Hillen at the end of the tri-oval, headed to turn number 1, but he'll not make a pass on Hillen.
He had aspirations of doing it, but can't imagine him not being able to pass anybody.
Good racing going on behind. That's Ken Schrader on the outside along with Alan Kulwicki. Jimmy Spencer in the middle of the low car is Rusty Wallace.
This is the longest that Earnhardt followed anyone all day.
But this is the first time he's had to pass the leader. Didn't he?
Yep, and here he is passing the leader. In turn number 3, Earnhardt goes low. The car sticking well on the bottom of the racetrack, and he goes to the front.
I can't tell you how impressive that is, folks, because down on that white line at the bottom of this racetrack, it's bumpy there. But he went through there like it was an interstate highway that had just been built.
So Earnhardt sets off once again. There he goes.
Bye, Dale. Probably the last time we'll see you for the next 15 minutes. We're going back with some action.
I tell you, Bobby Hillen has had an awfully good run here today. Snickers Buick has had some exceptionally good pit stops. He has run in the top 10 all afternoon or all morning and this part of the afternoon. But they good pit stops, and it's just been very impressive.
I remember Bobby Hillen having a very good run here in the Daytona 500. As a matter of fact, he had his best finish of the season here, a 6th in February. Let's go down for a comment in the pit area.
Covering pit stops down toward turn 1, I did not see Bobby Hillen pit, and I went up and asked Harry Hyde. I said, "You guys pit?" I said, "Were you just back here eating ice cream cones?" He said, "No, Doc." He said, "We were so fast you didn't even see us come in. We came in and changed left side tires and gassed him and got him back out front." But Harry had a little laugh because the old ice cream cone deal, which was in the movie, happened to Harry Hyde during one of his pit stops, and his driver at that time was a guy by the name of Benny Parsons.
Who? And the worst part about it is they wouldn't give me an ice cream cone.
Told you to stay out there while they eat your ice cream.
Everybody, why is everyone don't you can have ice cream? Pam wouldn't give me a milkshake. It's terrible.
Take a look at your waistline there, Benny. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Richard Brew.
Well, Richard, you know, Kenny was so dominant along with Dale Earnhardt here early in the year, also at Talladega. Is he just kind of sandbagging Dale right now?
No, John. We just missed the setup a little bit. The car's a little bit tight, but, you know, we're just going to hang on. That's about all we can do.
Now, the last pit stop, you took 4 tires, but you didn't make a chassis adjustment. Why?
Well, in other words, the car needs a spring change. Bite is not going to affect the car.
Well, there you have it. Kenny Schrader, I guess, only hopes is if Dale Earnhardt, something happens to him, guys.
Well, wait a minute. What's happening here? I thought Earnhardt would drive away, but he's not, Ned.
No, he's not. That pack of cars is staying right with him this time. First time today that we've seen him stay that close.
Matter of fact, Bobby Hillen looks to the inside and maybe thinking about trying a pass here, but Earnhardt stays in front. Then comes Harry Gant and Ken Schrader and Alan Kulwicki.
Well, maybe they gave him the word to say, hey, if you pull too far away, you're not going to be on TV. You're not going to get that much sponsor exposure. So
sponsor exposure
along there in front of.
I suppose they're monitoring me and listening to our comments. Who would care?
First 5 cars now begin to separate themselves from the rest of the pack just a little bit. Here comes the 94 car of Sterling Marlin and Terry Labonte and Dale Jarrett trying to separate themselves and catch this group of 5.
In fact, Sterling Marlin and Terry Labonte just moved around Dale Jarrett. Dale was running in 6th, now Labonte in 6th, and 7th is Sterling Marlin. Jarrett drops back to 8th.
It's an interesting statistic. The record for fewest cautions, 11 laps, and today so far we have had 11. Let's hope we don't have any more. But of course we did have that long red period of about 25 minutes.
This has been an expensive weekend for the Winston Cup teams. We saw about 20 cars crashed in the first lap accident, and yesterday there were 6 cars wiped out in the last practice session. Darrell Walter, in case you don't know, is laying in the hospital in Halifax Hospital here, had some surgery last night on his left leg and missed his first race in 432 races. So it's been an expensive weekend.
100 laps are complete. We've got 60 more to go in the Pepsi 400 as Dale Earnhardt continues to set the pace, looking for his first win ever at the World Center of Racing. We'll be right back.
When was the last time you had the kind of car that brings the road alive? Have you driven a Ford? Then you don't know what you're missing. Have you driven a Ford? Driven a Ford? Have you driven a Ford lately?
What could this off-road vehicle possibly have in common with this off-road vehicle? The same quality filter protection you can give your car from Purolator, the world's largest filter company.
Well, you haven't got half the parts I need.
How about a nice, tasteful hood ornament?
No, actually, I was looking for
something in an air freshener.
But I'm doing a tune-up.
Tune-up to these helps make sure we have the parts you need. It's gonna be big, very big.
Live flag-to-flag coverage for the Street World is on hand for all the activities surrounding the Pepsi 400 and 131 laps in.
Bobby Hillin staying there with Dale Earnhardt. And Vinny, there's one place on the racetrack that he is gaining more than any other. Now, they're about to go into turn 3 where Earnhardt seems to have the advantage on Hillin.
That's right. He's able to, looks like, pull away by a car length or 2. It maintains this time. The advantage stays about the same. But coming off the second corner, if we watch him coming off the second corner, it appears Hillin has an advantage off that corner now.
And the reason is that we've documented the fact that Earnhardt's car might be a little bit tight and pushing a little bit. Well, the turn coming off a 2 is a little bit tighter than coming off a 4, and if a car is going to push on this racetrack, right here is where it'll do it, and you can see Hillin gain the advantage as he comes off of there. Earnhardt just can't get it turned.
Very good. Nice, good eyes, good explanation of why Hillin is able to pull right up on his back bumper in turn number 2. The Tide crew is getting ready for a pit stop. Now we have a possible relief driver. Is that right, Jerry?
That's correct, Bob. Apparently, Jimmy Horton, who was driving in relief for Darrell Waltrip, when they had the accident at the beginning of the race, some of the inside door panels were knocked out, and he's getting the exhaust fumes in the car. Horton, getting overcome with some of the exhaust, has asked for help, and they apparently now will have Greg Sachs go in the car. Sachs, of course, the R&D driver for Hendrick Motorsports and our pole center for this race. His car having been destroyed, and now Jeff Hammond literally pulls Jimmy Horton out of the car. We'll take him over to the safety crews and get some oxygen there in Jimmy Horton. Sachs now climbing in the car. They'll get him strapped in. They will meanwhile fuel the car. This was a regularly scheduled pit stop anyway. They had scheduled to come in for a tire change and fuel, and they are just changing driver, trying to get Jimmy Horton out of the car, give him a breather, as Greg Sachs, a veteran driver and a former winner here in this race, gets in and gets ready to go.
So And we have a relief driver for the relief driver in the number 17 car, as Jimmy Horton, who is substituting for Darrell Waltrip, is relieved by Greg Sachs, who was the pole sitter of this race, but who was involved in the first lap accident.
And you can see there all the damage that's done on the right side of that car, allowing the exhaust fumes to go up inside of it. And fellas, that can be tough on a race driver, especially as high as the humidity is here today.
Add the heat and humidity with that, and boy, that has to be very uncomfortable.
That's the same thing happened to Morgan Shepherd in Pocono, and he collapsed after the race. Got out of the race car and fell on the ground.
Bobby Hillen is staying right with Dale Earnhardt, and again, you can see him closing in on the back bumper of the Earnhardt car. Meanwhile, great competition here as 4 cars are involved in the battle for position. It is Schrader, Kulwicki, Marlin, and Labonte. And that's Harry Gant running out in front of him.
Yeah, he's running third. Schrader is fourth. Fifth now is Alan Kulwicki. Sixth is the car number 94, Sterling Marlin, and Harry Labonte has dropped back to seventh.
3 cars coming in the pits. Earnhardt making a pit stop.
Jerry Punch will call this stop. It comes on lap 134. Jerry.
Final scheduled stop for Dale Earnhardt. We'll see if they'll make an adjustment on the car. Remember, the car was very, very tight. It was pushing, coming in the corner. We know they will probably change tires. No tires. They're going to push the spoiler down in the rear of the car. They will take 1 round of wedge out of the car, trying to loosen the rear up. Quite a gamble from the crew, trying to push that spoiler down. Remember, everybody having trouble with loose cars. 10 seconds, Earnhardt down and away. No tires, fuel, and adjustment on the chassis.
Of course, he'll stay in the lead lap. Everybody else will have to make another pit stop as well, at least for fuel. So that's quite a testament, fellas, to the radial tires that they didn't take on any tires.
It sure is. Now the leader becomes Bobby Hillen. Here he is, completing another lap.
And 10 seconds was the magic number. As soon as Richard Childers counted to 10 or clocked 10 seconds on the stopwatch, he said, Dale, get back out. 10 seconds, that's how much gas it needed.
And so now the others are going to have to make equally fast pit stops if they're going to stay in the hunt.
Bobby Hillen is the leader at the moment as Earnhardt has made his pit stop. We'll see if Hillen comes in this time around. There are only 4 more laps to go in this race. We're on lap 136. How'd I do with my subtraction, Benny?
Oh, you're great. What's that? He's got a calculator there.
No, I do not.
Oh, nope. He does, folks.
Hillen didn't come in. So we'll take a break and be back for the pit stop with Bobby Hillen, the leader of the Pepsi 400. Stay with us.
Premiering on A&E.
Women who are forced into the political field through death are viewed with a greater respect.
Some are daughters and wives of martyrs.
I have always thought of myself as being a transition president.
Others elected for great change.
It's double work. I'm not only a spokesman of a small nation, but also a spokesman for women.
Women in Politics, premiering Sunday, 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on A&E.
If you found that getting a homeowner's loan is tough going, then Old Stone Credit Corporation has good news for you. Right now, Old Stone's making fast, affordable, fixed-rate home equity loans for home improvements, major purchases, or just to get out from under piles of monthly bills. And even if your credit's been a little rocky lately, the money you need could be just a stone's throw away. To get things rolling, call Old Stone Credit today at 396-9496.
Under the lights, ESPN baseball tonight. Tuesday, Friday, doubleheader. Wednesday, nothing better. Catch it Sunday, watch the fun. Sunday night, our home run.
The Royals face the Orioles, or the Athletics battle the Twins Wednesday night live on ESPN.
Baseball tonight.
Bobby Hillen made a pit stop, has spun the car trying to get in and get some gas. He spins the car around. Now they're putting some fuel in it.
Benny,
let's go to Jerry Punch.
Benny, they were trying to get him on and off pit road in a hurry, and he brought the car down pit road, and the car, the brakes were locked up. He could not get the car, stopped the car, spun a loop. He tried to get the car spun back again. They were going to make a right side tire change and put fuel in the car and possibly have a shot at winning. That has now gone away. Tough break for the Snickers crew, the Harry Hine-led crew, and driver Bobby Hillen.
And our hats off to Benny Parsons, who during the commercial break said, gentlemen, watch for Bobby Hillen to come in too quick and slide the tires, and that's exactly what happened.
Because he wants to. Watch this, folks. This kid wants to make the best pit stop of his life. But he comes in a little bit too hot. I did the same thing, 1987, the Daytona 500. I got a break. I didn't spin out. But watch Hillen. The rear tires light up. He's trying. He knows he has to make a great pit stop.
And then he cuts it away from the crew members. He's afraid he's going to spin into them, so he cuts it away from them to keep from hitting them, but that cost a lot of extra time, too.
And they were going to change tires.
Yeah.
Well, if Dale Earnhardt wins the race, here comes Schrader and Harry Gant.
Harry Gant looks like he's going to make a pit stop. Yes, he's in on the inside. Now, is he going to put gas or tires? What's he going to do? And Sterling Marlin going to stop with him. John, what's he going to do?
I just talked to Andy Petrie. They're bringing Harry in very close to pit wall to save some time. They're only going to go for fuel. And he held up Sterling Marlin as they come down pit road. Harry comes in. They will look over the tires. He gets a quick drink of water. The gas goes in. They're counting him down on the stopwatch. And now there goes Harry again as they push him away. He's having trouble getting the car in gear. And Jerry Punch is down pit road with Sterling Marlin.
No tire change, just a change of the chassis. They fueled it up, and he spins the tires and smokes them trying to leave pit road. No rubber at all for Sterling Marlin, just fuel and a chassis adjustment.
And Harry Gant is not going in. Now he finally does get to going. A very costly stop for Harry Gant.
Evidently, he was out of fuel. Evidently, that Skull car was out of fuel when he came in. And here comes Schrader. He's coming in the pits.
Schrader. Let's see how he does it.
And Alan Kulwicki is also coming in just ahead of Ken Schrader. Schrader now getting ready for his final pit stop of the event. Here comes Alan Kulwicki pitting at the end of pit road down toward turn number 1. John Kernan is there with Schrader.
Ken Schrader revs the engine as he goes. They've now got enough gasoline in it just to gas and go. And Kenny is down and away.
Just 7.9 seconds. Kulwicki, however, is going to beat him out of the pits.
But Schrader has his speed built up. Kulwicki doesn't. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think Kulwicki's going to beat him enough that he gets his speed up. And they're allowing them, apparently, Benny, to go up on that bottom groove when you go into turn 1 after coming out of the pits. Because I've seen a number of cars do that today as they come out of the pits. Some racetracks, they don't allow them to do that, but apparently here today, they are. And as Rob Moroso taking the lead now that everybody has pitted, he was running in the 9th position, but everybody else has pitted in front of him. So
I believe so. Rob Moroso is going to be the leader of the race. He needs a pit stop, however. That's Michael Waltrip, of course, running there in front of him. So Rob Moroso, for the second time this afternoon, leads this race.
Well, we'll see if he comes in this time around. He's got to be getting pretty close on fuel because, as Benny said, it looked like Harry Gant ran out of gas. And, boy, you don't want to stay out there and run out. You run out coming across the start-finish line. It's a long way back. You can coast back here, but you lose a long time.
And it looks as if Moroso may be coming in for a pit stop. He's down low on the track and slowing down. Yes, that is the situation. Rob Moroso will come in for a pit stop, and John Kernan will be there to call the action.
Well, they're waiting Rob to make the entrance into his pit. Jake Elder is waiting with the signboard. It is just going to be a gas and also a quick chassis adjustment as they go to the left rear. Well, they will check the tires. They're making it very quick. There goes the one round. The gas is going in, and now Moroso is away. He gets out really well. He does not spin the tires.
That was a nice clean stop by Moroso. He came in at a decent speed and got the car stopped right on the marks and comes out of the pits without spinning the tires. So Rob Moroso in a nice pit stop, but you can't say that for Hillen and Gant.
Now, Dale Jarrett in car 21 and Harry Gant just moved around to Bobby Hillen there a moment ago. Jarrett took on right side tires when he made his pit stop. Gant and Hillen did not change tires. I don't know if that'll be any advantage for him or not.
Well, Earnhardt is the leader of the race with Kulwicki running second, then Schrader, then the one car of Terry Labonte. There is the leader as he laps Bill Elliott, who is without a hood. We'll be back with more live coverage in the final laps of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway.
Lots of motor oils claim to be tough. Quaker State puts it in writing. Ask your participating service center about Quaker State's tough lubrication guarantee. Only a tough motor oil can make a guarantee this tough. Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Staying ahead of the competition means staying ahead of the times.
Ford trucks. The best never ends.
And with ideas like an exclusive push-button four-wheel drive system and the most advanced electronic automatic transmission, Ford trucks aren't just leading Chevy, they're pulling away.
Ford trucks. The best never ends.
The best-built, best-selling American trucks are built Ford tough.
Car is that? A lot of cars in this town need parts from Parts Plus. Take a hint from your car. Go to Parts Plus for the quality name brand auto parts you need. Because Parts Plus sells name brand auto parts with quality you can rely on. The same quality name brands used by professional race car drivers. So the next time your car needs auto parts, come to Parts Plus.
We're America's family of auto parts stores. We're Parts Plus.
The closest points battle in years moves to the fastest Formula One track in the world. See the drama and excitement of the Grand Prix of Great Britain. Sunday morning at 8:50 Eastern, live on ESPN.
We hope you're enjoying today's live coverage of the Pepsi 400 Winston Cup race from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. By Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by Big A, the first letter in auto parts and your local Big A store. Dale Earnhardt leads the Pepsi 400 with now just 14 more laps to go. In second position is Alan Kulwicki, and Ken Schrader is running in third spot. But Earnhardt has a rather comfortable lead at the moment, and look how low on the racetrack he is.
Well, he's right on that white line, almost down to the apron, but that is the fastest way. It's the closest way. It's not quite 2.5 miles down there.
And evidently that chassis adjustment they made adjusted the spoiler a little bit just to his liking, especially with him out there running by himself. Putting that spoiler down, let him go down the straightaway faster. Of course, it takes a little of that push out going into the turns as well, and it's really worked well for him.
The number 20 car of Rob Barroso had a good pit stop, but he maintained his position from when he came in to when he went out. And we'll take a look at it from our Big A pit stop performance. Barroso with 19 seconds to get in and out of the pits, and a crew with a 7.2 second. He only took on fuel, no tire change, but the driver time was much slower than Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Rob Barroso did not want to spin out. I mean, he realized he's a young guy. He did not want to spin out. He slowed down a little bit too much coming in the pits. He accelerated out of the pits, no problem, but he slowed down a little too much getting in.
Barroso continues to maintain his 9th position, however, and is the last car on the lead lap.
Benny, I suspect when they saw what happened to Bobby Hillin that they were on the radio telling him, saying, hey, be careful coming in here. Don't lock the brakes up and spin it out. And that, of course, takes a little bit extra time, but it's worth it. Because Dillon now is back in the 8th position. He was running in 2nd position when he came in.
And Harry Gant, who also had a bad pit stop as the car stalled on pit road and they had to push it away, is back in 7th spot.
And he was 3rd when he came in. Boy, it really makes a difference.
Dale Earnhardt looking for his 44th Winston Cup win.
You know, we keep talking about driver time. Here's what we're talking about. See the white line we're clocking when the driver crosses that white line coming in the pits. We follow him down pit road. He stops at his pits. The crew makes the adjustments, whatever, changes tires, puts fuel in. And then there's the white line that we're clocking the car when it leaves the pit. So that's what we're talking about by driver time.
Dale Earnhardt has never won here at Daytona in Winston Cup competition. Well, he has in some of the qualifying races, the Busch Clash, but as far as the points race, right?
But
but he only has 11 more laps to go. Make that 10 more laps to go, and he will have won the Pepsi 400 on lap 150. 10 more laps to go for Dale Earnhardt.
I don't know if he's thinking about the Daytona 500, Ned. You think it's entered his mind?
I don't know. I doubt if he certainly hasn't dwelled on it. It might have entered his mind, but now that last lap, yeah, I expect it to come into his mind that he'll really drive the curve.
Lots of racing for you tomorrow here on ESPN, as we'll have the Grand Prix of France Formula One race at 7:50 Eastern Time. That'll be live tomorrow morning. Then at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll have live coverage of the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix IndyCar race, and then settle back after all the action for some leisurely baseball as the Oakland A's take on the Cleveland Indians at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Sunday night baseball.
Wasn't very leisurely. Did you see how many home runs the Athletics hit in Cleveland? Was it 7 home runs they hit yesterday in Cleveland in the second half of a doubleheader? They have got some big sticks. They also make a lot of money.
About three in a row.
Yeah. Wow. Almost as much money as Bob Jenkins.
Oh, right. That's a laugh.
Well, here's a man that could go over $1 million for the season if he wins this race today. Talk about money.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
What a year he's been having. And Richard Jackson has been named mechanic of the race.
Well, that's an excellent, excellent choice.
It sure is. That's great.
He's the owner and crew chief on the Terry Labonte car number 1 that is currently running in the 4th position.
And we talked about how they were involved in the accident yesterday and didn't get any practice time with the car that's on the racetrack running in 4 spots. So indeed, our hats off and congratulations to Mr. Jackson.
Ooh, look
Earnhardt
at that.
going between Jimmy Spencer and Davey Allison.
He just had to have a little fun. It's been a little boring out there for the last little while, so he wanted to have a little fun.
You see the sunshine glistening off the car as it comes through turn number 4, as the sunshine has come out now in full force after a cloudy start to this race in terms of weather and in terms of action on the racetrack.
Spin right in front of Earnhardt down in turn 1, right in front of our leader.
It's 71, Dave Marcus. And the yellow comes out.
J.D. McDuffie is the driver in that automobile. It looks like it's a 71 automobile. And the caution flag is out. Now that's going to let all the cars drive up on the back bumper of Earnhardt. Ned, is he going to pit? That's the question.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Since they didn't take on tires during the green flag pit stop, I don't think that he'll come in now with just a handful of laps to go to pit.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break here and see how all this shakes out as we are yellow with 7 laps to go in the Pepsi 400.
The Quaker State King Racing Buick, winner of the 1989 Die Hard Award for the most tough NASCAR miles, is winning again in 1990 as Brett Bodine takes first in the first Union 400. It takes a tough oil to keep a car running this tough, and it takes a tough driver to step right in, step on it, and win. But number 26 is one tough car. Brett Bodine is one tough driver, and Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
The world's fastest and most exotic Mercedes-Benz comes on Goodyear Eagle radials, and only on Goodyear Eagle radials. Why? Because the engineers at Mercedes-Benz want it that way. And they're another reason why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
I don't worry about the quality of parts my mechanic uses. Put in whatever's cheapest, son. I'm gonna get rid of it once the ashtrays are full anyway.
Quality service starts with quality parts, and your Big A Pro's got them. So look for the sign of the Big A Pro.
Ford Trucks. Take one for a nice, quiet ride in the country.
Will he or won't he? That is the question. And there is
Cecil Gordon standing out there with the decoy.
With the pit board. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation here as to whether he will or won't. We're going to know here in just a few minutes, or seconds, I should say, as the pace car leads them off of the fourth corner.
Let's see. He might dive in at the last moment.
Yeah, he could be trying to Nope, he did not come in.
I didn't really think
Harry Gant's coming in.
Harry Gant is, and
so
Bobby Hillen.
Yep.
And that doesn't surprise me because they were not getting around the racetrack too good. Hillen had perhaps messed up his tires during that spin around on pit road, and so they got really not that much to lose. They were sitting there running in 7th and 8th place. The only car that's going to pass them is Rob Moroso, and so I don't blame them. I would have come in too.
And they're putting back the spoiler just a little bit on Harry Gant's automobile, which will allow it to go a little bit faster.
Well, 155 laps are completed, so we will at least complete one more lap under the caution as the pace car still has its lights on. So it's going to be a dash to the finish, and it appears as if the driver most in contention to take the win away from Dale Earnhardt, if that's possible, is going to be Ken Schrader or Alan Kulwicki.
Well, Kulwicki's sitting there in 2nd place right now.
Terry Labonte.
Yeah.
Or Sterling
Marlin. Or Dale Jarrett.
That's right.
That's a nice thought.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? So after a slow beginning to this race, we sort of ended under a slow pace too. We're not finished yet. We will have some green flag laps, but a late caution period has bunched the field once again, and the caution is because of a spin down in the tri-oval area between the start-finish line and turn 1, just where the other big wreck was earlier in the race, and this one involved J.D. McDuffie in the number 71 car.
I would say that NASCAR is going to say one more lap to green this time by, and that'll be 156 and 157 when they take the green, 3 laps.
So at least one more lap here under caution, and so we can bring you everything without interruption. We're going to take this commercial break here as the field remains under caution in the Pepsi 400. Stay with us.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white.
Good timing once again. Here comes the field off of the 4th corner, getting set for the restart with 3 more laps to go. The green flag is waving. Here we go, 3 to go. And look at Earnhardt get the advantage off the line.
Man, what a jump.
Boy, he just leaves everybody in his wake.
And Kulwicki laid back trying to anticipate to keep up with Earnhardt, but he still couldn't do it.
Didn't work at all. Now Mark Martin sandwiches himself in between Earnhardt and 2nd place Alan Kulwicki as they begin to build up speed and head down the backstretch.
Mark Martin moves over, let those guys racing in position go by.
If Kulwicki holds on to that 2nd position, it'll be by far his best finish of the year. He has a couple of 6th place finishes this year, but it's been a rather disappointing year for Kulwicki, but he may have his best finish of 1990 right here. 158 laps about to be completed. 2 more to go in the Pepsi 400. And now Kulwicki begins to separate himself from Ken Schrader and Terry Labonte and Sterling Marlin and Rob Moroso.
Yeah, he would like to go into this last couple of laps without the cars right on his back bumper. Rusty Wallace comes into the pits. Rusty already a couple of laps down. In fact, he's at least 3 laps down.
There's the interval that Earnhardt has opened up already. Schrader running there in 3rd position. Labonte is 4th, and Sterling Marlin is 5th. And next time around,
look at Bobby Hillen come down on the inside of Rob Moroso, and Mark Martin was in the sandwich there.
Here's a race for 2nd spot.
There's Bobby and Harry Gant coming along on the bottom of the racetrack with Rob Moroso being passed. Now the white flag comes out, and there's one more lap to go for Dale Earnhardt. Let's see if a similar situation happens here as happened in February. He loses the race on the last lap. If he wins this race, he will be departing Daytona International Speedway almost immediately because he has to go to Cleveland, Ohio for an IROC race. Now he moves off the 2nd corner and down the backstretch. Look at Bobby Hillen passing Dale Jarrett, and here comes Harry Gant passing Dale also.
Apparently the new tires they took on have paid off. Jarrett was running 6th, now he drops back to 8th.
Earnhardt moves safely through that area that he had the problem in during the Daytona 500. He appears to be on his way to victory for the first time in his career at Daytona. Earnhardt brings it down through the tri-oval. There's the checkered flag, and Dale Earnhardt wins the Pepsi 400.
Alan Kulwicki is second. Ken Schrader third, Terry Labonte fourth, and Sterling Marlin fifth.
And there's the Richard Childress crew celebrating Earnhardt's first win at the World Center of Racing. Earnhardt has captured the Pepsi 400.
So I guess this is Richard Childress as a car owner. This is his first victory at Daytona as well. Because I don't think Ricky Rudd won a race here when he was driving for Richard.
You're right. But that is, as far as the point race is concerned, they won some of the 125-mile qualifying races and the Busch Classic.
Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Richard.
Very happy now. I guess you feel vindicated after what happened in February at this place.
Well, nothing makes up for the Daytona 500. Boy, it sure does feel good to win a Daytona 400 or a Daytona 500. We feel great. Well, these guys are just super.
Were you a little bit tense on that last lap? I know you said to me, hey, it's not over yet.
Now, we've seen that rodeo before, with the last lap deal. And, we never count it till he gets that checker flag.
Well, finally, Dale Earnhardt winning a points race here for Richard Childress at the Daytona International Speedway.
His 43rd Winston Cup career win and his 5th win of 1990. By far, he has more victories than anyone else. And now Dale Earnhardt moves to victory lane. Well, it's been a very tough weekend here at Daytona International Speedway. It all began yesterday when Darrell Waltrip was involved with several others in this crash up off of corner number 4 that has sent Darrell to the hospital here in Daytona Beach with a broken leg, a broken elbow, and a concussion. This is the incident that sent him to the hospital as Dave Marcus came sliding through the wreckage and hitting Darrell Waltrip's car in the left front. Now on the second lap, as the cars were coming down to complete lap number 1 of this race, a melee at the start-finish line as Greg Sachs and Derry Cope and Richard Petty all bumped together and created a chain reaction behind them that eliminated over, or at least involved, more than 20 cars, half of the field involved in this incident. However, several were able to get back in the race, and no drivers were injured in that incident, which brought out the red flag and stopped this race for 25 minutes. And surviving all of this weekend is Dale Earnhardt, who has come home victorious in the Pepsi 400. And boy, he has got to be one very, very warm race driver, because it is very hot here this afternoon. It's over 90 degrees. It is very humid. And for our road handler winter interview, let's go to Jerry Punch.
Dale Earnhardt sitting in the car, getting unhooked. And Dale, the big Goodwrench channel, congratulations on a great effort.
Well, it was a good one. The guys worked really hard all day. The car is as good as it was in February. And, we just sort of cringed there that last caution. And it had a couple laps to run yet, and we was worried about Allen be having enough to race with us. We got a good jump on him on the restart, and the car did a great job. I'd like to thank Goodwrench and say hi to my daughter Kelly back home and all my friends. We just did a good job today. Had a good day. Thanks to the Lord for a safe race. Nobody got hurt in that accident down there.
Got to be vindication after that last lap at Daytona back in February. Did you have any thoughts on the final lap here when you saw that white flag fly one more time?
Well, I ran in sort of in the middle of the groove. I didn't get too close to the edge on either side, so I wouldn't run over no debris. I didn't take any chances.
Dale Earnhardt, a tremendous run today. Again, domination here. Great effort by Richard Childress and the Goodwrench crew, and his wife and Taylor Nicole, the little girl, get in here as they celebrate a win in a Pepsi 400 at Daytona.
He doesn't look all that worse for the wear, does he?
No, he doesn't. No, he really
He's
doesn't.
tough. After 400 grueling hot miles here at Daytona, a very deserving victory for Dale.
But he won. Those guys back second, third, and fourth don't look that good.
So Dale Earnhardt emerges from the car and receives the applause of those gathered in victory lane and those gathered here that watch the exciting Pepsi 400. Tomorrow at 7:50, live here on ESPN. The Formula One race, the Grand Prix of France. Then at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix IndyCar race from Cleveland, Ohio. That's at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Our congratulations to Dale Earnhardt.